Take your seats as our program will begin shortly. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our conference will begin shortly. Should you need interpreting device, you can have one at the back of our ballroom area. If you have yet to register, our reception team would be more than happy to help you. Kindly make your way into the ballroom area and take your seats as our program will begin shortly. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ASEAN Conference on Combating Plastic Pollution, Enhanced Synergies and Collaborative Action to Combating Plastic Pollution, including to the marine environment. Can we have a big round of applause for all of us here today and for our collaborative action? This conference is implemented by Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs and, of course, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Republic of Indonesia, in collaboration with Indonesia National Plastic Action Partnership and Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, or AREA, and, of course, all of our exquisite partners. My name is Pura Anindita, ladies and gentlemen. I am so incredibly happy and incredibly honored to be part of this great day and important conference. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, plastic pollution has emerged as a critical environmental issue affecting our marine ecosystem worldwide. Plastic pollution poses a severe threat to the region's fragile ecosystem, our marine life, and of course, our human health. Now, against this backdrop, it is imperative for ASEAN not only shaping the discussion, but also advancing the readiness of its member states to implement the treaty once it is concluded and ratified. ASEAN plays a pivotal role to develop and also run effective regional mechanism aligning with the treaty that promotes sustainable practices, enhance waste management systems, and mitigate the adverse impact of plastic pollution on our marine environment. But, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed further with our agenda, allow us to extend our warmest welcome to Her Excellency Dr. Nani Hendiarti, Deputy Coordinating Minister for Forestry and Environmental Management Coordinating Ministry for Maritime and Investment Affairs, Republic of Indonesia. His Excellency Mr. Erick Thohir, ad interim Coordinating Minister for Maritime Investment Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, who is joining us today via live stream from China. It is with great pleasure for us to also welcome Mr. Ahmad Zafarullah Abdul Jalil, Director of ASEAN Integration Monitoring of ASEAN Secretariat, His Excellency Mr. Ari Sudianto, ASEAN Senior Officials on Environment, National Focal Point of Indonesia. And also with great pleasure, we welcome His Excellency Professor Tetsuya Watanabe, President of Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia. Of course, all excellencies, ambassadors, distinguished speakers, allow us to extend once again our profound gratitude and sincere thanks for everyone here today for your participation. Without your support, this conference would not be possible. Can we have another big round of applause for our collaborative action? Yes, yes. Because today we provide platform not only for policymakers, but also private sector, civil society, and also all ASEAN member states to share and exchange ASEAN's effort to address plastic pollution. Now, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to kick off our conference today, we would kindly invite Deputy Coordinating Minister for Forestry and Environmental Management, Dr. Nani Hendiarti, to deliver her welcome remarks. Let's give a big round of applause and welcome to Dr. Nani Hendiarti. Welcome to the stage, Ibu. I hand over the stage to you.
Excellencies, Bapak Ari Sudianto, ASEAN National Focal Point of Indonesia, Professor Tetsuya Watanabe, President of Economic Research Institute of ASEAN and East Asia, Ibu Ina Lepel, German Ambassador to Indonesia, Bapak Dato Nur Izzah Wong Mi Cho, Permanent Representative of Malaysia to ASEAN, Mr. Bovo Netat Dong Cha, Permanent Representative of the Lao PDR to ASEAN, Bapak Will Nankervis, Australian Ambassador to ASEAN Development Planning, Ibu Sri Indrastuti Hadiputranto, Chairwoman Indonesia National Plastic Action Partnership, distinguished guests, colleagues from the ASEAN member states, development partner, and all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning, selamat pagi, salam sejahtera buat kita semua. I'm sincerely delighted to welcome you all to this event, the ASEAN Conference on Enhanced Synergized and Collaborative Action to Combat Plastic Pollution, including the marine environment. This is very important topic. So I feel deeply honored and proud that we can all come together here to share thought, experience, and innovations in our joint effort to address one of the greatest challenges facing the ASEAN region and the world at large, plastic pollution. The plastic pollution is a complex and pressing global issue, transboundary issue. Also, plastic waste contaminates our ocean, can be also damage the ecosystems, and has adverse effect on the human health. As a region with numerous coastal and also island territories, ASEAN holds a special responsibility in tackling the issue. For this reason, the issuance of UNEA resolutions to end pollution, including in the marine ecosystem, is an important breakthrough that is expected to mobilize various elements involved in the plastic value chains from upstream to downstream. It is the best interest of our government of Indonesia and also the ASEAN member states to be actively involved in the negotiation at the INC to ensure the plastic treaty accommodates the national interests of developing countries that have different circumstances and also capabilities compared to the developed countries. Instead, the plastic treaty is expected to increase the commitment of all parties, including the private sector, to work together with the governments in the terms of inventing innovation or innovative funding and green investment, as well as transfer knowledge and technology. Ladies and gentlemen, the preceding today's conference coordination meeting among ASEAN member states was held yesterday on the 16th of October 2023. Bapak Ari lead this meeting, and the coordination meeting was a joint effort to exchange views and find common ground on the zero draft text of the Global Plastic Treaty to end plastic pollution toward the INC3. Through this conference, we will hear the latest insights learned from the ASEAN member states and sharing best practices in addressing plastic pollution from the wider stakeholders. We will discuss how to enhance synergies among the ASEAN countries in reducing the single-use plastics consumptions, increasing recycling, and also managing plastic waste more efficiently. I would like to extend my gratitude to the ASEAN Secretariat and National Plastic Action Partnership and PEP Indonesia team, and also to Economic Research Institute for the ASEAN and East Asia, and of course all partners who have contributed to this event. And would like also to thanks to all participants, outstanding speakers, and stakeholders. Our collective effort today will bring us closer to our shared visions of the cleaner environment and healthier seas in the ASEAN region. Once again, I would like to welcome to the ASEAN Conference on the Combating Plastic Pollution. And I hope this conference will serve as a platform for the innovation ideas, strong cooperation, and concrete steps toward a brighter future. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Nani, for your warm remarks and for always inspiring us to address one of the most pressing environmental issues in Southeast Asia. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let us direct our eyes to the big screen as we invite with greatest pleasure and honor at Interim Coordinating Minister for Maritime and Investment Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Eric Thohir, to deliver his keynote speech.
Honorable Asian Secretary General, distinguished colleagues from Asian member states, ambassadors, development partners, Chairwoman of Indonesia National Plastic Action Partnerships, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude for your presence at the Asian Conference on Enhanced Synergies and Collaborative Action to Combating Plastic Pollutions, including to the marine environment. On this special occasion, I want to express my gratitude to the Ministers of Environment and Forestry for her leaderships in the Asian Environment Ministers, Indonesian NPAP Secretariat, Economic Research Center for Asians and East Asia, and all partners. This is an exceptional opportunity for all of us representing Asian to share our experience and lesson learned in handling marine plastic issues and show the global our seriousness action to deal with plastic pollutions. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the volume of solid waste and marine debris generated across the Southeast Asia has rapidly increased in the recent years. According to the estimation, just 6 of Asian member states, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore, generated a total of 243 million tons of waste in 2016. Meanwhile, at the present, the capacity of Asian member states in dealing with waste is still facing difficulties such as financing capacity and infrastructures. However, I believe we all working hard to find the solution for this waste problem. Asian has the regional action plan on combating marine debris and the framework for circular economy for Asian economic community. These two initiatives should be a force for Asian to work in collaborative manners in dealing with plastic pollution throughout its life cycle. Using this momentum, I wanted to emphasize the importance of the United Nations of Environment Assembly resolution to start negotiating for an international legally binding instrument to end plastic pollution, including in the marine environment or plastic treaty. To that, this conference is a good momentum for us to share our views and develop commonalities among Asian member states toward the global plastic treaty negotiation, recognizing the complexity of the issue of addressing marine plastic pollution. Since 2018, the government of Indonesia has set a strong national commitment to reduce marine plastic debris by a substantial 70% by the year of 2025. We are proud to mention that within the last 4 years, from 2018 to 2022, we have succeeded in reducing around 36% of plastic waste outflow to the sea. And our efforts are on track to exceed 40% reductions by the end of 2023. We recognize that more hard work lies ahead to reach our ambitious target within the next 2 years. For this reason, strengthening the collaboration of various parties and the support of partners countries is very important. With the collaborations among Asian countries, I'm highly optimistic that we can provide a healthy environment for future generations to live in. Together, we can make a meaningful difference. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Bapak Erick Thohir, for the insightful speech. Together, collectively, we can explore opportunities to reverse the effects of plastic pollution. Next, we will have Director of ASEAN Integration Monitoring of the ASEAN Secretariat to deliver his remarks. It is our honor to invite to the stage Mr. Ahmad Zafarullah Abdul Jalil.
Her Excellency Dr. Nani Hedianti, Deputy Coordinating Minister for Forestry and Environmental Management, His Excellency Bapak Ari Sudijanto, Director General of Agency for Standardizations of Environment and Forestry Instruments, Professor Tetsuya Watanabe, President of AREA, Ibu Sri Indrastuti, Chairwoman National Plastic Action Partnership Indonesia, Excellencies, Ambassadors, esteemed delegates, and ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. On behalf of the ASEAN Secretariat, it is a great pleasure for me to be here today at this conference on combating plastic pollution. My highest appreciation goes to the government of the Republic Indonesia for organizing this important conference as part of its strong commitments and continuous efforts in addressing this global issue. I would also like to congratulate Indonesia for successfully convening the first high-level meeting on the Archipelagic and Island State Forums a week ago in Bali, Indonesia. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, plastic packaging has become an indispensable part of retail, logistics, and the consumer goods industry. And current studies suggest that 8 million tons of plastic end up in our ocean every year, which is an equivalent of one garbage truck full of plastic dumped into the ocean each minute. So with an average annual growth rate of GDP annual growth of 4.4% in the last decade, ASEAN has become an economic powerhouse with strong consumer market that also produce and consume a lot of plastics. The consumptions of single-use packaging has dramatically increased in ASEAN member states because of this economic growth, rapid urbanizations, as well as changing consumptions and production patterns. And COVID-19 pandemic further affects consumption preferences as people rely on packaged food deliveries and online shopping in the safety of their homes. So the convenience offered by delivery service have seen the trend continues even after our activities resume back to normal. So with all this trend, ASEAN is likely to see the amount of plastic waste continues to increase rapidly, including land-based marine debris pollution. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, recognizing the urgent need to address marine plastic pollution, ASEAN has committed to strengthen collective action to address this pressing issue. One of it is the ASEAN Regional Action Plan on Combating Marine Debris in ASEAN member state, which was launched in May 2021, and it outlines strategic actions set to be implemented by ASEAN in the next 5 years, which cover 4 main areas, namely policy support and planning, research, innovation, and capacity building, private sector engagement, as well as public awareness and education and outreach. To further accentuate the importance of ASEAN effort in this area, ASEAN is currently in the process of implementing and further mainstreaming the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific, which also highlight 4 pillars of key areas, which include maritime cooperations. The issues associated with the life cycle of plastics are complex, where it needs to be addressed with coordinated actions at multiple levels and at all stages of the life cycle of plastics. So the issue also requires changes in technologies as well as in business models and behavior. In this regard, a shift to a circular economy approach, broadening the scope of our action on plastics beyond the predominant focus on waste is also crucial. So recognizing the urgency and its linkage to ASEAN development and future growth, ASEAN Economic Community has come up with the framework for circular economy for the AEC that sets out a structured pathway for ASEAN to transition to circular economy geared toward the goal of resource efficiency, economic resilience, and sustainable growth. So this framework will be implemented in phases, and the first phase is targeted to be implemented between 2023 to 2030, will be focusing on 3 impact sectors, namely agriculture, transport, and energy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the successful implementations of the ongoing frameworks and action plans will require collective and coordinated actions and support from each one of us. And this conference will provide an excellent opportunity for various stakeholders to share insights and identify ways forward in creating the enabling environment. The conference will touch upon important issues such as enabling ASEAN ecosystem for advancing plastic circularity, and ASEAN roles and opportunities toward the upcoming internationally legally binding instrument on plastic pollution, enhancing the economics and enabling a market for recycling, and unlocking sustainable financing to address plastic pollution. So I would like to encourage all members, ASEAN member states and our partners to join hands and contribute actively to the discussion today. And I'm confident that through our shared vision and joint efforts, we can work towards clean and healthy oceans and contribute to ASEAN Community Vision 2025, as well as the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. With that, I wish this conference a great success, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Ahmad, for your remarks. Yes, Southeast Asia has significant marine diversity. Livelihood of millions of people depend on our ocean for food, for tourism, and trade. So it is imperative for ASEAN to tackle plastic pollution and marine debris issues. Now, we will hear an opening remarks from His Excellency Mr. Ari Sudianto, ASEAN Senior Official on Environment, National Focal Point of Indonesia. It is with great pleasure we invite to the stage Bapak Ari Sudianto.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellency Bapak Erick Thohir, at Interim Minister of Coordinating Ministry of Marine Affairs and Investment Republik Indonesia, who just delivered his keynote virtually. Excellency Bapak Ahmad Zafrullah Abdul Jalil, Director for ASEAN Economic Community Department, ASEAN Secretariat, Excellency Ibu Dr. Nari Hendriati, Deputy Coordinating Minister for Forestry and Environment Management, Coordinating Minister for Maritime Affairs and Investment, Excellency Professor Tatsuya Watanabe, President of Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia area, ASEAN National Focal Point and Representative from ASEAN Member State, Ibu Tuti Hadiputanto, Chairwoman for Indonesia National Plastic Action Partnership, distinguished resource person, ASEAN dialogue partners, participants, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning. As ASEAN Focal Point of Indonesia, it is my great pleasure to be with you all on this occasion of ASEAN Conference on Enhanced Synergies and Collaborative Action to Combating Plastic Pollution, including to the marine environment in Jakarta, Indonesia. Let me begin by expressing my sincere gratitude and appreciation to all participants for attending this important conference as a contribution to the deliverables of Indonesia chairmanship of ASEAN 2023. This conference has also been recognized by the ASEAN leaders as stipulated in the chairman's statement of the 43rd ASEAN Summit as a commitment to implement the ASEAN Regional Plan on combating marine plastic debris and commented the progress of implementation of marine debris related to the project and initiatives, including the upcoming ASEAN Conference on Combating Plastic Pollution, which will be hosted by Indonesia. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, like many other regions, ASEAN countries are currently facing a triple planetary crisis comprised of climate change, biological diversity loss, and pollution. The issue of climate change, biological diversity loss, and pollution are a major concern to the ASEAN, as Southeast Asia is one of the most at-risk regions in the world to the impact of the planetary crisis. One of the major pollutants is coming from plastic waste. As stated by UNEP, plastic pollution is a global problem that affects the environment, human health, and wildlife, including marine. Every year, around 90 to 23 million of ton waste leaks into the aquatic ecosystem, polluting lakes, rivers, and seas. The equivalent of 2,000 garbage trucks full of the plastic are dumped into the world, ocean, rivers, and lakes every day. Plastic pollution can alter habitats and natural processes, reducing ecosystem ability to adapt to climate change, directly affecting millions of people's livelihoods, food production capabilities, and social well-being. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, the United Nations Environmental Assembly, UNEA, in 2023 unanimously adopted Resolution 5/14 and agreed to start negotiating for the international legally binding instrument to end plastic pollution. This instrument aims to establish a comprehensive framework to regulate the production, use, and disposal of plastic materials and strengthen cooperation among nations to combat plastic pollution globally. The negotiations are expected to complete it in 2023. Prior to the initiative of international legally binding instrument, ASEAN has taken concrete action to combat plastic pollution in the form of Bangkok Declaration on Combating Marine Debris in the ASEAN region. The ASEAN Framework on Action on Marine Debris at the 34th ASEAN Summit in June 2021 adopted the ASEAN Regional Action Plan for Combating Marine Debris 2021-2025. Yesterday, all of the ASEAN member states participated in the ASEAN Coordinating Meeting on the ongoing Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee, or INC, processes for global plastic pollution to discuss and share views, commonalities, differences, and priorities as preparation for the next INC 3 meeting that will be held in Nairobi, Kenya next month. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as an integrated approach to the combat plastic pollution, the ASEAN Regional Action Plan consists of 14 regional actions at the 3 key stages of the value chain. Firstly, reduce input into the system by designing products to be reusable or recyclable, improving business and consumer awareness on their waste, plastic footprint, clarifying standards on the biodegradability and compostability, and reducing the consumption of single-use plastic. Secondly, enhancing collection and minimizing leakage by improving key sustainable waste management infrastructure, especially on poorly sited dump sites, promoting sorting and appropriate fee structures, developing stronger enforcement mechanisms to discourage littering, and clarifying packaging label for end-of-life disposal or recycling. Thirdly, create value for waste reuse by guaranteeing feedstock volumes, developing off-take markets, improving consumer segregation, or increasing knowledge of sustainable technologies, and minimizing investment risk in the key solution. In the line of Regional Action Plan, Indonesia has set a target to reduce plastic waste by 70% by 2025. The government has implemented a number of strategies to achieve this goal, including increasing awareness among stakeholders, managing waste from land sources and addressing waste on coast and ocean. The government has also established a funding mechanism, strengthened institutions, and enforced law to support this effort. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia's G20 year 2022 put marine and coastal issues as part of sustainable recovery agenda. With regard to the high-level principle, as voluntary recommendation in the G20 meeting on the 28th of July, Indonesia encouraged that the implementation of the principle should consider compatibility at the both nation and regional level. Indonesia has developed the Blue Economic Development Framework for the national economic transformation. Indonesia truly believes that sound water resource management is crucial to achieve our sustainable development agenda. In this context, Indonesia continues to expedite reduction of water pollution, sound management of river basin and watershed, which are integral part of integrated water resource management program in providing access to safe drinking water and sanitation for all. Indonesia will be host of the 10th World Water Forum, which will be convened in Bali, May next year. Excellencies, distinguished participants, today as we advance our reflection on nature and environment, we are very grateful for the presence of so many eminent resource persons and participants joined here in this conference. ASEAN Secretariat, government officers from ASEAN member states, country partners of the ASEAN, private sector, and ASEAN Business Association, civil society organization, academic and researcher, and last but not least also the media. Your presence will be flourish our discussion, meaningful thought, and fruitful result. We want to render our deepest regard and thank you for your contribution. Have a fruitful discussion. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Again, thank you very much, Pak Ari, for your remarks. Preparing to align to a legally binding instrument, may ASEAN member states continue to strive for systemic change. On to our next agenda, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will also hear remarks from President of Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, or ERIA, His Excellency Professor Tetsuya Watanabe. Welcome to the stage, Professor.
Good morning. Your Excellency Dr. Eric Thohil, the Interim Coordinating Minister for Maritime and Investment Affairs of Indonesia, Dr. Nani Herdi Arti, Deputy Coordinating Minister for Forestry and Environment Management, Coordinating Minister of Maritime Affairs and Investment, Republic of Indonesia, Your Excellency Dr. Amhad Zafra Abdul Jalil, Director ASEAN Integration and Monitoring Directorate, Ibu Tuti Hadiputranto, Chairman for Indonesia National Plastic Action Partnership, Your Excellency Ari Sudianto, ASO and National Focal Point of Indonesia, Your Excellency Will Nankervis, Australian Ambassador, Your Excellency Kieto Tomod Petersen, Norwegian Ambassador, Your Excellency Ina Rebel, German Ambassador to Indonesia, ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, movement to combat maritime plastic pollution have accelerated worldwide. At the United Nations Environment Assembly, member states committed negotiating an internationally legally binding instrument to end plastic pollution with ambitious goal of by 2024. The third Intergovernmental Negotiation Committee is scheduled for November in Nairobi, Kenya. AREA, as a research institute, is willing to collaborate with ASEAN member states to contribute to this negotiation process. ASEAN has collectively taken proactive measures to address marine debris. During the ASEAN summit in Bangkok in 2019, ASEAN leaders introduced the ASEAN Framework of Action on Marine Debris. In 2021, the ASEAN launched the ASEAN Regional Action Plan for combating marine debris, aligning it perfectly with the area's regional knowledge center's objectives. Today's conference is very timely, held just before Intergovernmental Negotiation Committee number 3 is a very timely and important opportunity for ASEAN to bring together various knowledge from policymakers and business leaders, and civil society and academia. In this region, Southeast Asia and other parts of the region, plastic waste is estimated to amount to 25 million tons in 2019, with a projected quadrupling by 2060. The consensus on the necessity to implement measures such as appropriate plastic treatment, recycling, improved management of the plastic waste has been growing. AREA, our institute, is collaborating with OECD and IGES to prepare a regional plastic outlook for ASEAN, aiming to look into current status and performance of measures each ASEAN member states, and recommend policy instruments to be adopted by each member state. The report is expected to be launched by the end of next year. There are barriers to combating plastic pollution, including data gaps, inadequate infrastructure for plastic waste management and recycling, and insufficient awareness among business and residents. AREA's regional knowledge center can play a vital role in enhancing synergies among ASEAN member states to combat plastic pollution. We can develop tools and guidelines and provide a capacity building to help ASEAN member states to improve waste management infrastructure, enhance recycling facilities, and develop sustainable plastic waste management strategies. Cooperation among the ASEAN member states can be encouraged by facilitating sharing best practices, technologies, and resources for tackling plastic waste. We would like to also support public awareness enhancement by doing a campaign about the environmental impact of plastic pollution and promote responsible plastic use. In terms of innovation and technology, AREA is able to promote research and development of technology for reducing plastic pollution, such as biodegradable plastics or alternatives to single-use plastics. This can be done through the circular economy approach, where products and materials are reused, recycled, and repurposed, reducing the demand for new plastics. The progress of ASEAN member states in reducing plastic pollution could also be monitored in ensuring that implemented policy and initiatives are effective. I believe AREA would like to play a pivotal role in assisting ASEAN in finding effective solutions and data. I very much wish today's conference a vibrant discussion in the global fight against plastic pollution. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor Tetsuya. Kindly stay on stage, as we now would like to invite our distinguished guests to come on stage for a group photo session. We'd like to invite Dr. Nani Hendiarti, Mr. Ahmad Zafarullah Abdul Jalil to come on stage, His Excellency Bapak Ari Sudianto, and we would like to invite Ms. Sri Indrastuti Hadi Putranto to come on stage as Chairwoman of Indonesia National Plastic Action Partnership to join us to have a group photo on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, today we invite high-level speakers to share their views on strategies to address the challenge of plastic pollution and achieve sustainable solutions. Yes, distinguished guest speakers. Yes, Ibu, please join us. We will have 2 poses all together. I will help counting down. First, the formal pose. Yes, move a little bit closer to the center. Can we move 1 step closer? Yes. All photographers, media friends, ready? All right, let's kick off today's conference with this partnership. 3, 2, 1, captured. And for the second photograph will be taken the ASEAN way. ASEAN handshake, right hand over the left. Yes. Move a bit closer. Yes. Shall we challenge and tackle plastic pollution and achieve a sustainable solution? Together we can. 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much, Excellencies. You may return to your seat. Yes? Yes, please. We would like to confirm. Yes, later on we'll have another group photo session. Thank you so much, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. You may return to your seat and enjoy the rest of our conference. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador, we will now have a short coffee break. Please enjoy the drinks and snacks provided in the foyer on the 2nd and the 1st floor. We will see each other back again in this ballroom area in 10 minutes. Thank you and have a refreshing break. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, ambassadors, now it is also the best time for us to have a group photo on stage. Take your time, we have plenty of time. Our team will help you to have a group photo all together. Ambassadors, distinguished guests, speakers.
There is an action built the citizen science MedInterview.id platform with BRIN, where we collected data from thousands of volunteers under the microchip program. And that data, we use it for doing campaigns, workshops, community development, and collaboration with private sectors, and doing advocacy, of course. And one of it is SPINLab program, where we partner with World Vision Indonesia, where we measured all of the impact that we made under the behavior change programs, and then also the collaboration with policy makers. And it is all helped by the ANPAP and the GPAP Youth Championship team.
We work on reducing marine plastic debris through prevention of single-use plastics from the source. This means that we work with several cities across Indonesia to push out single-use plastic bans and to replace them with reuse solutions. NPAP has been very supportive of our initiatives by supporting single-use plastic prevention policies, supporting reuse policies, and through the Behavioral Change Task Force, aligning us with other partners and organizations working on similar issues across Indonesia.
Weekend is a digital platform that offers easy and hassle-free recycling services for individuals and businesses that supports and empowers the informal waste sector through the gig economy. The contributors request pickups and are connected to pickers who collect
the waste and sell it to our partner collectors. For both private households and large corporations, we offer a full range of recyclable waste tracking, reporting, and management services. Being a part of NPAP greatly benefits us in many ways, giving us access to all of the members for any potential collaboration. We also have the chance to create a network of organizations and people who share a vision and values.
Our journey does not stop here. We are committed to continue our support towards our members by building a strong foundations, encouraging task forces across initiatives, and bring members together to share ideas, highlight best practices, and collaborate for joint and inclusive solutions.
Plastic pollution is a serious global challenge. Canada is pleased to work with the Government of Indonesia to support its efforts to reduce plastic pollution through the GPAP and NPAP. As we all know, it's often the poorest and most vulnerable communities who are disproportionately affected by unsustainable waste management practices and plastic pollution. For this reason, it's important that these groups, particularly women and girls, play an active role in designing local solutions that will help Indonesia move towards a more circular economy. Canada looks forward to our continuing close collaboration so that together we can forge a zero plastic waste future.
The UK is proud to support the Global Plastic Action Partnership and its innovative, multi-sectoral approach to eradicating plastic pollution and waste. The world urgently needs system change across the whole life cycle of plastic. GPAP and NPAP are crucially important parts of that. As a steering board member, we, the UK, commend NPAP Indonesia's concrete action plans for protecting the marine environment from the plastic pollution that is causing such havoc to our oceans.
As an archipelagic country and one of the largest economies in Asia, Indonesia is a key player to reduce plastic waste in the ocean. And that starts from solutions on land. Since the beginning of the NPAP in 2019, I'm incredibly grateful to have witnessed some amazing innovations coming from the NPAP members. And we're looking forward to seeing more partnerships join the NPAP from across the value chain, and are hoping to inspire others to join this path towards a plastic pollution-free environment.
We cannot ignore the fact that marine plastic debris is one of the biggest environmental problems today. We need to find a way to fight these issues in an integrated way while continue thriving for the economy and people prosperity. As we work towards a binding global framework to end plastic pollution with the help of the National Plastic Action Partnership, I believe Indonesia can become a champion of the circular economy for plastic. Let us work together for healthier ocean and better planet for the future of our next generation.
Our land and ocean have been heavily polluted with the plastic. As the largest archipelagic country in the world, what Indonesia does is really matter. That is why the Indonesian government has committed to reduce marine plastic debris by 70% in 2025. This is a very ambitious target, but it has been showing a good progress today. With the support from the National Plastic Action Partnership, I believe we can achieve this target and create a plastic-free ocean ecosystem.
The National Plastic Action Partnership, otherwise known as NPAP, is a multi-stakeholder partnership who aims to bring government, private sectors, civil societies, communities, and financial institutions to work together in creating a circular economy ecosystem for plastic. We gather like-minded organizations from the international, national, and local level to help Indonesia achieve its ambitious target of reducing plastic leakage into the ocean by 70% by 2025. Since 2019, our distinguished co-chairs and members have developed 5 roadmaps on metrics, innovations, behavior change, financing, and policy. These roadmaps contain technical approaches to actors that want to create a better environment and economy for all by reducing plastic waste. The NPAP members are working across the plastic value chain from reduce, redesign, collect, recycle, and dispose. We have held coordinations and facilitation between members across the value chain, enabling change on the ground.
Nestle, globally and in Indonesia, has the ambition to ensure 100% of our packaging materials are recyclable and reusable by 2025, and at the same time, reduce the usage of virgin plastic by 1/3. We at Nestle realize we can't do this by ourselves. Hence, we need trusted partners like NPAP to ensure we can deliver multi-stakeholder solutions, first by creating awareness and then by creating actions.
We run the incubation network along with the Circulate initiative. In Indonesia, Accpp is working with NPAP on a range of really innovative solutions. In 2021, we worked on a challenge that focused on embedding the informal sector into formal supply chains. And this year, the Plastic Waste to Value Challenge sees us supporting 5 really exciting startups who are increasing recycling and upcycling of hard-to-recycle plastics.
Diversely in Action built the Citizen Science SYNERGIESAND platform with BRIN, where we collected data from thousands of volunteers under the microchip program. And that data, we use it for doing campaigns, workshops, community development, and collaboration with private sectors, and doing advocacy, of course. And one of it is FINLA program, where we partner with World Vision Indonesia, where we measured all of the impact that we made under the behavior change programs, and then also the collaboration with policymakers. And it is all helped by the NPAP and the GPAP Youth Championship team.
We work on reducing marine plastic debris through prevention of single-use plastics from the source. This means that we work with several cities across Indonesia to push out single-use plastic bans and to replace them with reuse solutions. NPAP has been very supportive of our initiatives by supporting single-use plastic prevention policies, supporting reuse policies, and through the Behavioral Change Task Force, aligning us with other partners and organizations working on similar issues across Indonesia.
Duitin is a digital platform that offers easy and hassle-free recycling services for individuals and businesses that supports and empowers the informal waste sector through the gig economy. The contributors request pickups and are connected to pickers who collect the waste and sell it to our partner collectors. For both private households and large corporations, we offer a full range of recyclable waste tracking, reporting, and management services. Being a part of NPAP greatly benefits us in many ways, giving us access to all of the members for any potential collaboration. We also have the chance to create a network of organizations and people who share a vision and values.
Our journey does not stop here. We are committed to continue our support towards our members by building a strong foundations, encouraging task forces across initiatives, and bring members together to share ideas, highlight best practices, and collaborate for joint and inclusive solutions.
Plastic pollution is a serious global challenge. Canada is pleased to work with the Government of Indonesia to support its efforts to reduce plastic pollution through the GPAP and NPAP. As we all know, it's often the poorest and most vulnerable communities who are disproportionately affected by unsustainable waste management practices and plastic pollution. For this reason, it's important that these groups, particularly women and girls, play an active role in designing local solutions that will help Indonesia move towards a more circular economy. Canada looks forward to our continuing close collaboration so that together we can forge a zero plastic waste future.
The UK is proud to support the Global Plastic Action Partnership and its innovative, multi-sectoral approach to eradicating plastic pollution and waste. The world urgently needs system change across the whole life cycle of plastic. GPAP and NPAP are crucially important parts of that. As a steering board member, we, the UK, commend NPAP Indonesia's concrete action plans for protecting the marine environment from the plastic pollution that is causing such havoc to our oceans.
As an archipelagic country and one of the largest economies in Asia, Indonesia is a key player to reduce plastic waste in the ocean. And that starts from solutions on land. Since the beginning of the NPAP in 2019, I'm incredibly grateful to have witnessed some amazing innovations coming from the NPAP members. And we're looking forward to seeing more partnerships join the NPAP from across the value chain, and are hoping to inspire others to join this path towards a plastic pollution-free environment.
We cannot ignore the fact that marine plastic debris is one of the biggest environmental problems today. We need to find a way to fight these issues in an integrated way while continue thriving for the economy and people prosperity. As we work towards a binding global framework to end plastic pollution with the help of the National Plastic Action Partnership, I believe Indonesia can become a champion of the circular economy for plastic. Let us work together for healthier ocean and better planet for the future of our next generation.
Our land and ocean have been heavily polluted with the plastic. As the largest archipelagic country in the world, what Indonesia does is really matter. That is why the Indonesian government has committed to reduce marine plastic debris by 70% in 2025. This is a very ambitious target, but it has been showing a good progress to date. With the support from the National Plastic Action Partnership, I believe we can achieve this target and create a plastic-free ocean ecosystem.
The National Plastic Action Partnership, otherwise known as NPAP, is a multi-stakeholder partnership who aims to bring government, private sectors, civil societies, communities, and financial institutions to work together in creating a circular economy ecosystem for plastic. We gather like-minded organizations from the international, national, and local level to help Indonesia achieve its ambitious target of reducing plastic leakage into the ocean by 70% by 2025. Since 2019, our distinguished co-chairs and members have developed 5 roadmaps on metrics, innovations, behavior change, financing, and policy. These roadmaps contain technical approaches to actors that want to create a better environment and economy for all by reducing plastic waste. The NPAP members are working across the plastic value chain from reduce, redesign, collect, recycle, and dispose. We have held coordinations and facilitation between members across the value chain, enabling change on the ground.
Nestle, globally and in Indonesia, has the ambition to ensure
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, kindly make your way into our ballroom area and take your seats as our first panel discussion will begin shortly. Our discussion will shed a light on internationally legally binding instrument on plastic pollution, its implications and opportunities for ASEAN in reversing plastic pollution. Thank you.
By creating actions.
We run the incubation network along with the Circulate initiative. In Indonesia, SYNERGIESAND is working with NPAP on a range of really innovative solutions. In 2021, we worked on a challenge that focused on embedding the informal sector into formal supply chains. And this year, the Plastic Waste to Value Challenge sees us supporting 5 really exciting startups who are increasing recycling and upcycling of hard-to-recycle plastics.
Diversely in Action built the citizen science marine.id platform with BRIN, where we collected data from thousands of volunteers under the microchip program, and that data we use it for doing campaigns, workshops, community development, and collaboration with private sectors, and doing advocacy, of course. And one of it is FINLA program, where we partner with World Vision Indonesia, where we measured all of the impact that we made under the behavior change programs, and then also the collaboration with policymakers. And it is all helped by the NPAP and the GPAP Youth Championship team.
We work on reducing marine plastic debris through prevention of single-use plastics from the source. This means that we work with several cities across Indonesia to push out single-use plastic bans and to replace them with reuse solutions. NPAP has been very supportive of our initiatives by supporting single-use plastic prevention policies, supporting reuse policies, and through the Behavioral Change Task Force, aligning us with other partners and organizations working on similar issues across Indonesia.
Duitin is a digital platform that offers easy and hassle-free recycling services for individuals and businesses that supports and empowers the informal waste sector through the gig economy. The contributors request pickups and are connected to pickers who collect the waste and sell it to our partner collectors. For both private households and large corporations, we offer a full range of recyclable waste tracking, reporting, and management services. Being a part of NPAP greatly benefits us in many ways, giving us access to all of the members for any potential collaboration. We also have the chance to create a network of organizations and people who share our vision and values.
Our journey does not stop here. We are committed to continue our support towards our members by building a strong foundation, encouraging task forces across initiatives, and bring members together to share ideas, highlight best practices, and collaborate for joint and inclusive solutions.
Plastic pollution is a serious global challenge. Canada is pleased to work with the Government of Indonesia to support its efforts to reduce plastic pollution through the GPAP and NPAP. As we all know, it's often the poorest and most vulnerable communities who are disproportionately affected by unsustainable waste management practices and plastic pollution. For this reason, it's important that these groups, particularly women and girls, play an active role in designing local solutions that will help Indonesia move towards a more circular economy. Canada looks forward to our continuing close collaboration so that together we can forge a zero plastic waste future.
The UK is proud to support the Global Plastic Action Partnership and its innovative, multi-sectoral approach to eradicating plastic pollution and waste. The world urgently needs system change across the whole life cycle of plastic. GPAP and NPAP are crucially important parts of that. As a steering board member, we, the UK, commend NPAP Indonesia's concrete action plans for protecting the marine environment from the plastic pollution that is causing such havoc to our oceans.
As an archipelagic country and one of the largest economies in Asia, Indonesia is a key player to reduce plastic waste in the ocean. And that starts from solutions on land. Since the beginning of the NPAP in 2019, I'm incredibly grateful to have witnessed some amazing innovations coming from the NPAP members. And we're looking forward to seeing more partnerships join the NPAP from across the value chain, and are hoping to inspire others to join this path towards a plastic pollution-free environment.
We cannot ignore the fact that marine plastic debris is one of the biggest environmental problems today. We need to find a way to fight these issues in an integrated way while continue thriving for the economy and people prosperity. As we work towards a binding global framework to end plastic pollution with the help of the National Plastic Action Partnership, I believe Indonesia can become a champion of the circular economy for plastic. Let us work together for healthier ocean and better planet for the future of our next generation.
Our land and ocean have been heavily polluted with the plastic. As the largest archipelagic country in the world, what Indonesia does is really matter. That is why the Indonesian government has committed to reduce marine plastic debris by 70% in 2025. This is a very ambitious target, but it has been showing a good progress today. With the support from the National Plastic Action Partnership, I believe we can achieve this target and create a plastic-free ocean ecosystem.
The National Plastic Action Partnership, otherwise known as NPAP, is a multi-stakeholder partnership who aims to bring government, private sectors, civil societies, communities, and financial institutions to work together in creating a circular economy ecosystem for plastic. We gather like-minded organizations from the international, national, and local level to help Indonesia achieve its ambitious target of reducing plastic leakage into the ocean by 70% by 2025. Since 2019, our distinguished co-chairs and members have developed 5 roadmaps on metrics, innovations, behavior change, financing, and policy. These roadmaps contain technical approaches to actors that want to create a better
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ASEAN Conference on Combating Plastic Pollution, Enhanced Synergies and Collaborative Actions to Combating Plastic Pollution, including to the marine environment. In a few moments, we will have 2 back-to-back panel discussions. You may bring over your coffee and tea and grab your seat. But before that, let us hear Mr. Rofi Al-Hanif, Assistant Deputy Coordinating Minister for Waste Management, Coordinating Ministry for Maritime Affairs and Investment, Republic of Indonesia, for setting the framework of the event. To Mr. Rofi Al-Hanif, the stage is yours. Please give a big warm applause for Pa Rofi Al-Hanif.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Deputy Minister of Environment and Forestry, Ibu Nani Hendiarti, Chairs of ASEAN, Indonesia, Presidents of Area, Excellencies, Ambassadors, ASEAN Secretariats and Delegates from ASEAN Member States, distinguished speakers, development partners, and all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all of us. Once again, I welcome you to the ASEAN Conference on Combating Plastic Pollution. On behalf of the organizer of this strategic conference, allow me to share with you why this conference is important for ASEAN and Indonesia, and how the conference will be delivered today. This conference is conducted as a deliverable of chairmanship of Indonesia to ASEAN 2023. And to the follow-up, the ASEAN chairmanship statement of the 43rd ASEAN Summit in Jakarta early September. The conference shall allow a room for all ASEAN member states and other wider stakeholders to exchange experience as well as exploring opportunities for regional multi-stakeholder cooperation and collaboration. The momentum of the conference is also timely, considering the negotiation of Global Plastic Treaty or international legally binding instrument has reached to the crucial stage where the published zero draft has been an object of discussion in various global, regional, and national fora. This conference is preceded by ASEAN Coordination Meeting on the ongoing Intergovernmental Negotiation Committee, or INC, process for Global Plastic Pollution Treaty that was held yesterday in this hotel. The coordination meeting discussed potential ASEAN commonalities on the zero draft text of the Global Plastic Treaty to end plastic pollution toward the INC 3 that will be coming soon this November. As for today, the theme of our conference, Enhanced Synergies Collaborative Action to Combat Plastic Pollution, including the marine environment, underscores the urgency of the situation we face and need for united efforts. To achieve this objective, the conference will be delivered in 2 plenary sessions and 5 interesting breakout sessions. The session focus on how to promote ecosystem for plastic circularity in the region as part of enhancing readiness to the relevant communities toward the implementation of the treaty once it adopted. The plenary talk show will be held right after this, bringing internationally legally binding instrument on plastic pollution and its implication on opportunities for ASEAN in reversing plastic pollution, and followed by the plenary talk show 2, enabling the ASEAN ecosystem for advancing plastic circularity that will be held here in this room. After the lunch break time, there will be 5 breakout sessions very interesting one, with the main topic for recycling, reuse, refill, international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution, policy on how value plastic and the financing. The event will be held in a breakout room. Breakout one will be here, and 2 other breakout room downstairs at the first. We just go down through the escalator and we'll find the 2 breakout rooms. And of course, you can choose and join which issue that interested to you. At the end of the breakout session, key recommendations from each breakout will be highlighted to be further elaborated in our recommendation paper. So thank you for being part of this conference, and let's work together to ensure a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future of our planet. And looking forward to your contribution and effective discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bapak Rofi, for setting the framework of this conference. And now we will have our first panel discussion with the topic Internationally Legally Binding Instrument on Plastic Pollution, its implication and opportunities for ASEAN in reversing plastic pollution. In this session, our panel of experts will share their insights and discuss opportunities as well as potential roles of ASEAN member states in shaping the negotiation to end plastic pollution. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, leading this panel discussion, I would like to invite our moderator to the stage, Ms. Amelia Yahya. Please give a big round of applause for our moderator, Ms. Amelia Yahya. I hand over the stage to you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Puri, our wonderful MC, for the kind introduction. And distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Amelia Yahya, and I'm so incredibly honored, so very happy to be here, to be a part of this great day and this great forum, especially with everyone here. And I'm here as your moderator today. And I'd like to preface this panel discussion by first, on behalf of our organizers, extending our profound gratitude and sincere thanks to everyone for your participation and for your attendance here today. Without your support, ladies and gentlemen, this event would not be possible. For that, let us give the biggest round of applause for everyone here. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we've already listened and gained great insights from all of our high-level speakers today, and today we'll be highlighting, of course, on the very subject that we're going to be talking about, and that is on enhancing synergies as well as collaborative efforts and actions on combating plastic pollution. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very, very honored to be here today as I welcome you to join us on this very important panel discussion that transcends borders. And we're going to be talking about an array of topics surrounding the internationally legally binding instruments, or ILB, on plastic pollution. We're going to be highlighting the importance as well as the implications and opportunities for the ASEAN region. And so when we talk about ASEAN, our beautiful home, ladies and gentlemen, we need to point out 679 million. That is the population of ASEAN today, as of the latest numbers that we see in the year 2023, and that contributes to about 8% of the global's total population. So you can imagine, ladies and gentlemen, the vast interconnected landscapes of ASEAN. Each and every single region and country, brimming with life, has its own distinctive culture, beauty, and diversity. And now you can imagine, ladies and gentlemen, one important and very common plague that we are facing today, that we're suffering today, that is haunting not just the entire world, including here in Southeast Asia, and that is our plastic pollution. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, the shared challenge that we face today that spans across borders, undoubtedly on the plastic pollution, it is something that we need to tackle on not tomorrow, but now, if not yesterday. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, and as we highlight on the plastic, a material that is designed as a very convenient form to package things has become a global predicament and a problem for all of us, and we need to tackle it now. And as they say, ladies and gentlemen, wisdom is for us to know and understand what we need to do, but virtue is doing it. And I know, and I'm sure that each and every single one of you, you're all a man and a woman of actions. And today we're going to not just be talking about how the internationally legally binding instrument, or ILB, is not just a mere document, but it is also a beacon of hope, really. And it is also a beacon of hope that highlights the importance for all of us here to work together, to go hand in hand in tackling and combating this very important issue that we face today, and that is on plastic pollution at its root. So, ladies and gentlemen, today, as we welcome our panelists here on stage, I have to also point out that our conference undoubtedly serves as one of the most notable conferences for all of us here to gain the accurate and the most updated knowledge, especially with regards to combating plastic pollution. So without further ado, allow me to welcome our panelists and speakers up on stage. They are undoubtedly the experts in their respective fields, and together we're going to pick their brain and learn so much from them. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome to the stage Dr. Naporn Popa Tanachai, the Assistant Professor in the Faculty of Law of Thammasat University. Dr. Naporn, we're so happy to have you here. And along with Dr. Naporn, ladies and gentlemen, please also allow me to welcome to the stage Dr. Nofrizal Tahar, the Director of Waste Handling of the Ministry of Environment and Forestry of the Republic of Indonesia, and a focal point for ASEAN Working Group of Environmentally Sustainable Cities. Dr. Nofrizal, so happy to have you here. And next, ladies and gentlemen, please also allow me to welcome to the stage Ms. Lucia Karina, the Vice President of Public Affairs, Communications, and Sustainability for Indonesia and Papua New Guinea for Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Partners Indonesia. And next, please also allow me to welcome to the stage Ms. Liviana Sorzi, the Specialist of Global Plastic Actions Partnership. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome everyone to take your seats, and I'd like to point out once again, ladies and gentlemen, that this panel discussion will be a very interactive one, meaning that I'm not going to be the only one that will be interviewing yours truly, our speakers. But ladies and gentlemen, I'd also want to welcome each and every single one of you to be curious and gaining great knowledge by also proposing your questions to our dearest speakers. Therefore, I'd like to have everyone to later take out your phones and scan the barcode on Slido that we're going to project on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Please scan the Slido barcode, and on it, ladies and gentlemen, you may ask your questions to our panelists, and later, at the end of our session, we are going to read out the questions for you, and our panelists, our speakers, will answer the questions for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I welcome our panelists here on stage, and I hope everyone's doing well. How's Jakarta treating you? So far, so good. Okay, wonderful. And okay, so my first question, I'd like to direct this to Dr. Naporn on a very important question on, ladies and gentlemen, from Dr. Naporn's perspective as an international environmental lawyer, could you please briefly explain to all of us here what is ILB, or the Internationally Legally Binding Instrument, and on what its effect and impact on plastic pollution, as well as what does it really do, and on the current negotiations that's being held right now?
Please, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here. I I think the first question, I think everybody's in the industry pretty much know, as perhaps more than me, but well, I think better to start is that plastics pollution is not something new. It is, in fact, we've learned about the pollution, at least I think from the 1980s, where we discovered the Pacific Eastern Garbage Patch. And that is perhaps the starting point of alerting the international communities of how these important issues have to be tackled. But it doesn't until, the 2000s where plastics pollution gains its own agenda in international communities, apart from, being, part of the land-based pollutions. And I think that is a starting point by our international community, especially in the context of United Nations and other regional organizations start to dig into this issue. And here we are today, is that we have the UNES 5.2 that initiate the process for international negotiation for a specific treaty for plastic pollution. I think we are at the crossroads of everything, in fact, because the approach taken in the negotiation as, not just only the modalities of the negotiations, but also, the way in which we approach the issue is quite cross-cutting and disrupting in the ways that it's different from how we negotiate other, multilateral environmental agreement in the past. We take the full life cycle approach to plastic pollutions, meaning that we have to tap or we have to disrupt in one way or another the entire life cycle of plastics. And I think that is something that everybody has in mind already, where the disruptions or some of the change might have to be occur here and there across the industry that involve plastics. But if you look at the treaty itself, or the draft text itself, I think perhaps from November next month, it would be the start of the real negotiations, since we have the first zero draft coming out there and trying to charge into what has actually been in the discussions when it's come to the text. But again, I think when I say it is a start of the real negotiation, because of the fact that we are starting to tap into the uncharted waters with the way in which these new treaty is actually negotiated and drafted. There are a lot. Well, I know that I have only 7 minutes, but well, there are lots just to discuss. But I think if anyone looks into the draft, the zero draft of the treaty, you will see that there are quite a few interesting and fascinating issues. And of course, it's also included challenges that has to be discussed within the next rounds of negotiation, which is the INC3. And hopefully, if things go as planned, we'll have the text, the official text by the end of next year. But there are a couple of points, perhaps, in the first round that I have to mention. Firstly, from the text, it's starting to get into the most upstream part of plastic pollutions, which have never happened before in the international regulatory system, meaning that the ones that is not just only plastic as waste, but it's also to the production of plastic or even to the petrochemical industry, might have to look into this as well, because, from the text, there are certain plastic of concern, chemical of concern that would be subject to the regulatory system should this be, these treaties become entering into force. That would be quite annoying to me, unfortunately, because we don't really know what will be included in the scope of the treaties. Yet, I think that's pending the negotiation, and that would be the hard talk bits from now on, because states have to take into account what has to be give and take or trade-off in the process of negotiation, because it would hurt the economy of the country differently depending on the reliance on the industry within the domestic communities. Secondly, I think apart from the petrochemical industry, I think there are the measures that would tap into the way in which we produce, not just only the initial substances or chemical that would put into producing plastic, but also the plastic product itself. Because there are certain bits that we have, according to the terms in the treaties, mentioning plastic that's difficult to repair or difficult to recycle. This has to be phased out as well. And that would mean that these new treaties would also adopt arguably standards that create the product standard for production of certain plastic issue. But of course, it remains to be seen what kind of plastic product will be subject to these new regulations. But that is something to keep in mind for the industry as well. Lastly, I think it's not just only about the productions of plastic or more upstream, but one of the, I think, very, very fascinating things that I've witnessed from these zero draft is the fact that there are the regulation concerning the emission standards. And one of the very, very, very interesting bits of this is regulating plastic with the air pollution, meaning that the microplastic that has been emitted and released into the air would be subject to the regulation as well. And I think that's create quite a disruption in terms of how we regulate air pollution within our domestic regulatory system, because this would be something very, very new and would require quite a few of technologies in order to ensure that you can regulate this. And considering the source of the emission itself of microplastic, I think that would be quite a things that we have to research and to study and how best we can regulate this. I think this might be the first round that I chair, so that you can have a glimpse of what is actually in that, and I will chair with the other participant in the next round, perhaps. Thank you.
Let's give Dr. Naporn a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Dr. Naporn, for the excellent introduction as well as information on the developments of ILBI and its values. And Dr. Nofrizal, knowing that Indonesia is the 4th most populous country in the world, we're also the world's largest island nation, the largest economy in Southeast Asia. So in terms of the efforts to combat plastic pollution, us Indonesians need to give it all in and possibly tenfold, right? And what my question for you is, with the negotiation of ILBI being such a focal point here for Indonesia, with the current state of plastic pollution right now in Indonesia, do you think this global agreement would be a great platform or agreement for all of us here to get or to receive a better support for Indonesia in terms for us to combat plastic pollution in a better way?
Thank you, Amelia. Good morning, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Before I answer the question, thank you for the ASEAN Secretariat, Coordinating Ministry of the Maritime and Investment, and Economic Research Institute of ASEAN and East Asia, and National Partnership Plastic Action, NPAP. Special thanks for our friend from the ASEAN member state would be here. I think the plastic pollution is not the local or national challenging, but the plastic pollution is the global challenge, global problem. So I think we need the international cooperation, we need the international commitment to end the plastic pollution. So we believe the international legally binding instrument would be solved to address the plastic pollution in the world. We noticed that the existing plastic pollution condition got not tackled by business as usual scenario. So it needs the extraordinary action, effort along its value chain from production and design, distribution, retail, consumption, post-consumption, waste management until its end of life. So this comprehensive legal framework approach can be applied including banning, phasing out, limitation, reduction and regulation. Indonesia is ready to adopt some core obligation element of the internationally legally binding instrument, because we have already put in place national legislation that regulate that core elements such as problematic and avoidable plastic product, including short life and single-use product, product design, composition, and performance, including product design and performance, reuse, refill, and repair of plastic and plastic product, use of recycled plastic content, and alternative to plastic and plastic product. We have a regulation and policy about the extended producer responsibility, waste management, recycling rate, and just transition condition. That's my answer.
Thank you very much, Bapak Nofriza and Ms. Lucia, representing Coca-Cola, which is one of the world's only biggest producers, especially when it comes to product packaging, and applying and adopting the ILB articles, such as on the extended producer's responsibility and the limitation of certain types of material, will undoubtedly not be easy for the industry, of course, and it will create hindrance as well as obstacles to create better innovation. And how do you see your company and other similar companies that is in the same path driving change in this sector?
Thank you. First of all, on behalf of the Coca-Cola system, the Coca-Cola company and the Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific partners, I would like to thank you for the Asian Secretariat and also the Coordinating Minister of Maritime Affairs and Investment, and also the National Plastic Action Partnership for involving the Coca-Cola system to this event and also share our best practices. Just answer your question, actually, as a member of the Business Coalition for Global Plastic Treaty, the Coca-Cola company and therefore the Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific partners is for a treaty with legally binding global rules and measures that drive a circular economy for plastic on a global scale. Let me answer your 2 points, actually. Number one, in the collection. The plastic beverage packaging actually is not wrong. It's a valuable material and none of it should end up as a litter. We know about it. However, we should also understand that collecting packaging for recycling once it has been used is critical to creating a low carbon responsible closed loop circular economy and keeping plastic out of the environment. This is important for me. I always use a low carbon responsible closed loop circular economy. It's not only a circular economy, because this is the whole picture on the circular economy itself. That's why at the Coca-Cola system, actually we are committed to collecting the equivalent of bottle for every single bottle that we sell, so that beverage packaging can be recycled and reused. We also support the creation of a collection and recycling solution in all our market globally. We are working with the national and also local government and stakeholders. Addressing collection and infrastructure challenges is often complex. It's not only Indonesia, but I also believe in Asian region. But we know this is a challenge that we must overcome together. We can't overcome by ourselves. So we have to do as a collective efforts. What will be crucial in any internationally legally binding instrument is that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to the EPR. But instead, maybe we need to think about flexibility to adopt solutions so that they work for social, economic, local culture, and also legislative context in each market. In the Coca-Cola system, actually, we call for extended stakeholder responsibility to create an equal playing field as a tool to support the creation of collection infrastructure in Indonesia and also in Asian region. But how these schemes are designed is critical to their effectiveness. The picture that you saw in the screen actually, the way we design our low carbon, responsible, closed loop, circular economy in the Coca-Cola system. Particularly in developing countries like Indonesia, with a lack of public awareness and waste infrastructure, the implementation of a low carbon responsible closed loop circular economy should involve multi-stakeholder participation with clear roles and responsibility. So no longer have finger pointing to everyone, but maybe the point come to us and asking our roles and our responsibility. I give you an example, like the government have to set the clear and strict regulation with integrated infrastructure and mandate the usage of recycled material to reduce the use of fossil fuel derived virgin plastic. They also maybe consider provide fiscal incentive to encourage the recycling industry and the usage of recycled contents. And this is also a suggestion for the government to allocate more funds for waste management and create a task force led by panel of experts to manage such funding with clear key performance indicators. It's not just a task force, but they have to have a clear and strict KPIs, which will be assessed every year or every month. And the academia have to be also encouraged to enhance their research on optimizing value extraction of waste, raises awareness and support capability building. For NGO, maybe we also ask them to improve public awareness through education and community assistance. And last but not least, actually, we are a producer to implement design for circularity, collection of packaging, and increase the use of recycled content. This is why Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific Partners advocates for the legislation that drive multi-stakeholders action in Indonesia, which is based on the equal playing field principle and that support for formal and informal collection. Establishment of waste management infrastructure and consumer education on the segregation of waste is imperative, on which an equal playing field principle depends. So this approach will not only attract community participation and recognize the informal sector, but also, again, reduce carbon emission, because we are talking about the low carbon, responsible, bottle-to-bottle, closed-loop circular economy.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lucia, and I hope this level playing field will also be a playground, really an environment, not just for Coca-Cola, but for other industries to really combat this plastic crisis at its root. And Ms. Liviana, on the NPAP in Indonesia has been running since year 2020 and gaining over 100 members, and all in a aim and a targeting to reduce plastic leakage by about 70%, is that correct, by year 2023? And could you please briefly, on a layman's term, maybe explain to us what NPAP and GPAP is, and how do you think the role of these two multitask holders, NPAP and GPAP, could further support for better negotiations with ILB?
Thank you very much for inviting me here. So I represent the GPAP, or Global Plastic Action Partnership. This is a global initiative that is hosted at the World Economic Forum, was launched in 2019. And in the steering board, we have the UK government, Canada government as the main supporters, as well as companies such as Coca-Cola and Nestlé, and international organizations such as the World Bank and the GEF. So this is already, let's say, the multi-stakeholder setup at the global level. However, where GPAP finds its impact is actually at the national level with the countries that decide to become members and join. And these countries then set up the National Plastic Action Partnerships, or NPAP, like the NPAP Indonesia that you are all experiencing here. Actually, I want also to thank and congratulate the countries of Indonesia and Vietnam, who were the first one, together with Ghana in Africa, that decided to join GPAP and decided to roll out the partnership and pilot it together with us. So really, we have been through a process also of testing and experimenting. What is the objective of GPAP? GPAP wants to build a more sustainable and inclusive world through the eradication of plastic pollution. And it does so by creating a platform that helps to translate commitments into action. The way in which we support the countries that becomes member is helping them to set up multi-stakeholder steering board, where the government is working side by side with private sector representatives. They can be from multinational companies as well as industry association and maybe representation of a smaller and medium enterprises in the country. And we also want to ensure that also civil society is represented, or for example, the representative of the informal sector. Another important aspect of GPAP is that is very much focusing on the evidence base, on collecting baseline data that produce, let's say, a snapshot, a picture of a plastic waste situation in the country. And then through our National Analysis and Modeling Tool, or NAM tool, developed with Systemic, we help to create possible scenarios. There is a business as usual scenario that can be compared to some system change scenario that depend on the different levers and policies or action put in place. These actions need to include both upstream and downstream interventions. So going from thinking about a new way to design and produce products, maybe looking for alternative materials, up to interventions, for example, in the recycling or even in the trade policies. What I think is that NPAP really helps also to improve or try to promote also interministerial cooperation, which sometimes is not to be taken for granted and is important. And we try to ensure that all the perspectives are taken into consideration. So this, let's say, exercise that happens in the countries that set up the NPAP is also very useful to inform, for example, the negotiation. It will be very useful because the NPAP provides a neutral space, a platform for listening to different perspectives, to different maybe ways of thinking. We know that it's not an easy task to combat plastic pollution. There are different interests, and we also don't want to forget also the elements related to the just transition and to the participation of marginalized groups. What happens in the transition to a circular economy? How maybe some jobs are impacted? What can we do to create new job opportunities? So all these aspects are discussed and promoted during the conversation of the NPAPs. And we think that this is, can really be important for countries who join, because it helps them come in with a broader maybe sense of the problems, of the various complexity, and it can hopefully help to inform a better also engagement in the INC conversations.
Thank you very much, Ms. Liviana. Ladies and gentlemen, great encouragement as well as insights from all of our speakers. And once again, I'd like to remind you, for everyone who would like to ask questions to our wonderful speakers, please do not hesitate to scan the QR code or the barcode that we see on the big screen on Slido. And on it, on slido.com, you simply have to scan the barcode and type your questions to our speakers. And also don't forget to type which speaker you would like to direct your questions to, and then later our speakers will answer the questions for you. And Dr. Nofriza, after we've listened to the statements as well as the insights from Dr. Naporn, especially with the emphasis on the importance of partnerships from Ms. Lucia as well as Ms. Liviana. I would like to also ask you, what do you expect from the great contribution from the ASEAN's partnerships, the great partnerships that we celebrate from one country to another of ASEAN, both on environment and economies matter, and strengthening the implementation of the treaty once it is adopted?
Thank you, Amelia. Right now, the process still ongoing to be the international legally binding. So we have next month the negotiating process in the Nairobi. So we still have two events next year in Ottawa, Canada, and the last event in the South Korea. So hopefully this instrument will be legally binding in the end of 2024. So this is entry to force the end of this next year. So I think we expect the Asian cooperation can contribute significantly to the implementation of the treaty by considering the following rationale. First, ASEAN is the first regional group in global fora that established regional action plan for combating marine debris, as it called Bangkok Declaration on combating marine debris in ASEAN region that was made in 2019. The second, there are several international cooperation exists in ASEAN, both at national and regional level, that are supported by donors and countries such as World Bank, ADB, UNDP, JICA, GIZ, USAID, Norway, Denmark, Netherlands, NPAP, and also so many donors. Since ASEAN member state is claimed as the biggest contributor on marine plastic waste, ASEAN member states still have a bold action and commitment to end plastic pollution in the region as common readiness to internationally legally binding instrument plastic pollution. Next, ASEAN Action Plan on combating marine debris and established national action plan can be utilized as a good modality for ASEAN member states in adopting international legally binding instrument plastic pollution. ASEAN member states could set up priority issues on both core obligation and mean of implementation element of the ILB based on national readiness criteria such as national capacity and capability, national policy and legislation, existing plastic pollution condition, and socio-economic condition. ASEAN and ASEAN member states could strengthen the existing international cooperation by focusing on how the cooperation shall support ASEAN and ASEAN member state readiness to implement the upcoming international legally binding instrument plastic pollution. The last, ASEAN member state could set up a just transition to narrowing the gap between countries and accelerating the implementation of the international legally binding instrument plastic pollution. Thank you, Emil.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nofriza and Dr. Naporn. From an international law perspective, when we talk about ASEAN and its great partnerships, do you think ASEAN even has the chance or even has the maybe the ability or the grit to shape negotiations to be a more ambitious target or even measures? And regionally, do you think ASEAN could set up its own ambitious target to combat plastic pollution?
Thank you. This is a very, very, very difficult question, but I try to make the case based on the current version of the zero draft. I think if you look at the draft, you might see this why there are provision outlining potential cooperations internationally and regionally. But I think it is for the ASEAN member state to take also in mind that as things stand, there are no provision allow us to set the regional targets, within these, treaties if once established. Because, if you look at the provision on chemicals or polymers of concerns, the problematics of vital plastic products, it all the national targets that you have to set. But there are no provisions that allow us to, to collectively set out our regional target, to which I support. Because I think, in ASEAN we share lots of similarities when it's come to, how we should go about tackling plastic pollution. But this is just only the tip of the iceberg that I wish that, the ASEAN negotiators, be it from any countries, should take in mind is that if you're really to tackle plastic pollution, you have to make sure that there are facilities in the text or support providing to us, taking into account the fact that we have been blamed for the past 5-6 years as the major polluter to plastic pollutions. If you look at the way in which, support is actually provided in the zero draft, and giving the fact and also taking into account, allegedly, status of polluters or contributors to marine plastic pollution, I don't think support is actually tailored for ASEAN in order to set out a more ambitious targets. And this is something that I think we collectively have to be vocal at the international negotiation sessions. Because if you look there, no offense to any other countries, because anyone receiving support is good, because that helps in one way or another contributing to the, reduction of plastic pollutions. For example, the small island developing states finally placed, in the text whereby they receive, and of course because of the fact there are impact quite a lot. But that is quite the end of the stream when it's come to plastic waste. If you are really to tackle plastic waste, you have to tackle where it is leaked. And if you're saying that ASEAN is the leakage, supports have to come here, not elsewhere, in order to ensure that we, an entire ASEAN, we have the better management, we have equipped it with technological knowledge, we have equipped it in sufficient financial assistance in order to ensure that there will be no leakage here. But it is unfortunate, I'm sorry, I might be missing it, but I can't find any of such thing in the text. Another thing that I would like to share, and hopefully this has been taken into account at the international negotiation, and hopefully by the ASEAN negotiators, is that you have to also think about how you fit these new plastic treaty in this current setting of the international legal systems. And this is very important issues, because otherwise it is another elephant in the room when it's come to the relationship between different multilateral environmental agreements. Why does it matter? Because, we lawyers, especially lawyers, and specifically lawyers, we always have our own problem in trying to interpret and apply treaties, making sure that it would not collide or inconsistent with the others. And fitting these, cross-cutting and quite disruptive treaties in the classic international legal system is quite a task for even lawyers to understand how it interacts with the existing laws. To name a few, the United Nations Law of the Sea Convention, the Biodiversity Convention, or other, the BIS synergies, the Basel, Rotterdam, or even the Stockholm Convention that relates to plastic product in one way or another. You need to know the relationship, how they operate in the current setting. Otherwise, it would be quite all the new messy stuff that we have to deal with. One of the very good examples that has already in place is the BB&J treaties that has already opened to signatures, that it established, quite an innovative interrelation or the interactions between different stakeholders at the international plane, and especially, secretariat or subsidiary bodies under other multilateral environmental agreement to ensure that the BBNJ treaty is actually go about or implemented in complementary or supplementary or hand in hand with other existing multilateral environmental systems. Perhaps lastly, apart from the interaction issues, getting back to one of the very, very important issues that are already highlighted by our colleague is the extended producer responsibility, or the EPR. I think, when you're looking at the text and the EPR standing out alone, it's a little bit weird to me without saying the context, because it's looks like, the producers, whatever in the value chain you are, but it seems to be the one who take the blames. But I think, I'm pretty much agree with the fact that EPR may not be the one-size-fits-all shirts that can be applied across the legal systems. I think there must be flexibilities here in this provision to ensure that measures of equivalent effect can be also taken if it is not equal to EPR. But of course, that's something to discuss in the next negotiation rounds. And I hope that these points, as if useful, can be adopted, and ensuring that we ASEAN as a region can go about this together hand in hand, and ensuring that we are not to want to take the blame, at least from the next years, when we conclude the negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naporn. And ladies and gentlemen, we're so deeply grateful for Dr. Naporn's statements, especially with regards to how the negotiations will be going. And we're so incredibly excited for the progress. And I saw that the questions from our audience have already been projected on the screen. If I may have our organizers to project the questions from our audience on the screen. Yes, this question is from our audience, ladies and gentlemen, via Slido. And this question is directed to our... Okay, I guess we will not have any time for that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize as time has been running fast. And okay, there's no more Slido questions at this time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to sincerely thank all of our panelists for extending as well as sharing the great insights and knowledge with all of us. And I hope everyone has gained incredible knowledge on this subject of ELB's implications as well as opportunities for Southeast Asia's region. And I'd also maybe like to ask one more question. We still have the time for that. We have 8 minutes left. And Ms. Liviana, Dr. Naporn has emphasized on the importance to combat plastic pollution starting from its root, the plastic crisis leakage really, and NPAP that's aiming on its target to reduce plastic leakage by about 70% by year 2023. How has that progress been going? And what is the future approach of NPAP, and what about GPAP as well? Is it expanding? Does it have any plans to expand in the near future?
So I think that the NPAP is set also to support countries achieve their national target. And as it was mentioned earlier today, it seems that in the last 3-4 years, Indonesia already achieved a 36-40% more or less reduction. So it looks already a good achievement, and leaving a positive signal on the effectiveness of a series of intervention and policies, including NPAP. I would like to share more also about the plans for expansion of GPAP in the region. And as I told you, NPAP, Vietnam and Indonesia were among the first one to join, but this year we saw really a lot of more interest. So also Cambodia has recently joined, the Philippines, just news also from today, and Laos also is in negotiation. So what we see is really an increasing presence of the NPAP in Southeast Asia. And we believe that there is really room to explore a deeper cooperation, possibly maybe with the ASEAN Secretariat and the various countries. Last week, some of us were together in Bangkok for a Global Plastic Summit, and we have a chance also to meet, and this idea started to come up and to take shape. The idea of maybe a regional NPAP or regional presence of GPAP. So I really hope that this conference also today could be maybe where we plant a seed to then start together thinking about what it could be a regional presence. In my view, it's really about supporting the knowledge exchange among the countries, but also going beyond the just maybe government representative exchange. Is really also about bringing in the expertise from a private sector, bringing in the various perspectives. So this is what GPAP and the World Economic Forum normally helps to do, bringing together different stakeholders, different actors, and we are really keen to explore also how we can do this more and more at the ASEAN level, maybe connecting with the regional plan for marine litter. And also with the CIMA project, the project on supported also by the World Bank on regional coordination on combating plastic pollution. So I hope there will be chances to explore this development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Liviana and Ms. Lucia. I guess my last question is directed to you. And everyone has emphasized the importance of transitioning to a plastic circularity. And from our panel discussion, our next panel discussion would be discussing on enabling ASEAN's ecosystem to advancing plastic circularity. And on that very subject, your company is currently transitioning its business model and to focus more on a circularity, as you just also have mentioned. And I see in here by adopting the non-helix approach. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Thank you. Welcome, Ibu Mari, Elka. Let me start by explaining what the non-helix approach is. I think maybe people asking about why non-helix, why not pentahelix? So from many years of working closely with many parties in the waste management, I actually identify that there is 9 stakeholder groups that really have to deliver practical solution to drive the implementation of low carbon responsible closed loop circular economy. Then also this is also enhance the collaboration with the government, with the media, the community, financial institution, the academia, the private sector, key opinion leader, particularly the religious leaders, the public and the NGO. This is workable for Indonesia, particularly the religious leaders. And the non-helix itself actually is centered around the shared commitment to collaborative efforts that respect local wisdom with the aim of preventing the leaking of waste pollutant, not only plastic, but the waste pollutant from the sources and establishing a circular economy that benefits every stakeholders. On the non-helix approach, we put focus on the community to drive their behavior changes in the segregation of packaging and also the collection. We work with the media and key influence leaders who can support this behavior changes shift. Like we went to the malls, we went to the church actually just to creating the awareness of the people there. We work also with the NGOs and universities to provide policy recommendation and partners to technology solution to waste issues. We encourage the government to promote better and collective waste management integrated into the education curriculum in the schools, because this is also the key factors in changes the behavior mindset. We also working with financial institutions to serve nano financing for waste bank customers, which also help to increase financial inclusion and create job opportunities and improving the livelihood for informal workers as part of the just transition that you mentioned before. On top of that, we expect the government also will provide the fiscal incentive for producers who use the recycled content in their packaging, and for those who actively contribute to a low carbon emission, responsible closed loop circular economy. Nona-helix approach that you show in the screen actually was designed and inspired by the Indonesia State Foundation and ideology of Indonesia, which is Pancasila, and is based of the concept of mutual cooperation, which is gotong royong. Because of this, I actually felt it can certainly be adopted by other organizations in the Asian region. The reason is that we all know that we cannot solve the circularity problem in isolation. We cannot just sweep in front of our house. This will not drive the systemic shift we need to end plastic pollution in the Asian region. Instead, we must sweep the whole street. Maybe not only one street, but 2 streets or 3 streets. This means we have to work together and take a multi-stakeholders approach to create the design for recycling solution on the upstream and the collection and recycling infrastructure and behavior change in the downstream, as you mentioned before, on which the principle of circular economy are based. So I believe together we can make a meaningful collaboration to make it happen in the Asian region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let us give our speakers a big round of applause. And now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, as we know that wisdom truly is, wisdom is something that, something that's in us, that we know what to do next, but virtue is doing it. And I'd like to sincerely thank all of our speakers for having both wisdom and virtue. And after highlighting the importance of this internationally legally binding instruments on a plastic pollution, as well as on highlighting the implications and the opportunities for ASEAN region. I hope everyone has gained incredible insights from our speakers here today. And ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for our next panel discussion. Next, we'll be talking about an array of topics with our wonderful speakers and panelists on the subject of enabling ASEAN's ecosystems on advancing plastic circularity. Once again, let us give them a big round of applause. And next, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to direct and hand over the stage back to our MC.
Thank you so much, Ma Amelia. And I would like to ask all distinguished speakers and moderators to stay on stage as we will have a quick group photo. Dr. Naporn, Ibu Karina, Ms. Surzi, and Bapak Nofrizal Tahar, thank you so much for sharing your views. Let's get ready for our first formal pose. We definitely learned a lot from all of our panelists, reminding us that commitment is required to shift from linear model to a more circular economy or circular approach. Photographer ready? Media friends ready? All right, I'll help counting down. 3, 2, 1. And let's get ready for our second pose, the ASEAN way. Right hand over left hand. Here's the clean ocean and better planet. 3, 2, 1. And we would like to invite to the stage Mr. Rofi Al-Hanif, Assistant Deputy Coordinating Minister for Waste Management, to present token of appreciation to our panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, this token of appreciation is a handmade pouch and clock created by women handicraft entrepreneur from Nusa Tenggara under Du Anyam. Du Anyam is MSME with mission to empower women and communities in rural areas in Indonesia. Yes, one more group photo with Pak Rofi. 3, 2, 1. Captured. Thank you so much, distinguished speakers, Pak Rofi and our moderator. You may return to your seats, but Please stay put, ladies and gentlemen, because next up we will move on to the second talk show or panel of discussion on enabling the ASEAN ecosystem for advancing plastic circularity. In this session, our panel of experts will share their insights on advancing circular economy of plastic in the ASEAN region and to share insights on how trade instruments intra-ASEAN and between ASEAN can advance and create ecosystem for promoting plastic circularity in ASEAN member states with the aim of course, ending plastic pollution once and for all. And leading our second panel discussion, I would like to welcome back to the stage our moderator, Miss Amelia. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Buri, our wonderful MC, for the kind introduction, and as well as on recapping our next subject. And distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce myself again to our next speakers. So my name is Amelia Yahya, and I'm so incredibly honored and so happy to be moderating for your sessions today. And ladies and gentlemen, so again, as we also recap on the important subject on the previous panel discussion, our first panel discussion on the internationally binding legally instrument that is on plastic pollution as well as its implications and opportunities for here in ASEAN's regions, our vast, beautiful, diverse landscapes of ASEAN, ladies and gentlemen, and as we can see, has been plagued by one common plague, and that is that continuously haunting us, and that is our plastic pollution. And so our next subject, ladies and gentlemen, would be about the solution. Yes, today we're not only going to be talking about the problems that's plaguing us, on the obstacles and challenges, but also on the opportunities, and we're going to aim on the solutions to together, hand in hand, in partnership, combat plastic pollution and plastic crisis at its root. And so our next subject is on enabling ASEAN's ecosystem on advancing plastic circularity with our wonderful panelists and speakers, and they're undoubtedly the experts in their very field, and together we're going to learn so much from them and pick their brain. So without further ado, please allow me to invite to the stage Dr. Marielka Pangestu, the Special Envoy for the Global Blended Finance Alliance. Ibu, we're so very honored to have you here. Thank you for gracing your presence with all of us. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, next, please also allow me to invite to the stage Mr. Ahmad Zafarullah Abdul Jalil, the Director of ASEAN's Integration Monitoring of ASEAN Secretariat. And also Ms. Claudia Chan, the Senior Director of Public Policy of ASEAN and South Pacific, or ASP, of the Coca-Cola Company. And last but not least, we'd also like to invite to the stage Mr. Roth Sith, the Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Environment of the General Directorate of Environmental Protection of Cambodia. Let us give them all a big round of applause. So ladies and gentlemen, just as our previous panel discussion, we will also open the floor, and this time I'm sure and I hope that we'll have more time for our audience questions. And to propose your question will be very easy. You simply have to scan the barcode that we have previously already projected on the big screen, and on it, after you scan on the barcode, you simply just write your questions and to whom your questions is directed to, and later at the end of our session, our speakers will answer the questions for you. So everyone, we're so incredibly honored to have you here, and thank you so much for your valuable time to share your great insights with all of us. And I'd like to direct our first question on the subject of enabling the ASEAN's ecosystem for advancing plastic circularity. Now we're highlighting on this great solution to combat plastic crisis at its root to Professor Marielka Pangestu on the economic instruments such as trade and finance has undoubtedly been so pivotal and very important in combating plastic pollution, Ibu. So could you please explain to us on what extent is the economic instruments can shape on the transitioning to a better, ambitious target in combating plastic pollution, Ibu?
Okay, now it's on. Thank you. It's good to be here in these sessions on plastic pollution. I think something which has been discussed for a couple of years in Indonesia. And I think Indonesia can be proud that it has an action plan. And it has targets. And I guess it's showing the way, right? And if we talk about it in more global sense, I think I would start with the issue of climate and development before we get into the plastic pollution, because plastic pollution is part of that story. I think what we have been, since the last 5 years, there has been a shift in the fact that developing countries are recognizing that it's important to address climate for the sake of development. In the past, developing countries were actually resisting addressing climate in the sense that they felt this is not something that it's a luxury that developing countries can't afford to do because we want to grow, we want to develop. But I think in the last 5 years, we see increasingly developing countries recognizing it. So then it's the how to. How do you achieve addressing climate action but still grow and develop? I think that's kind of the big challenge. And if you take the link between climate, especially with trade, I think you were asking about instruments. And this is where I will give the example of plastic pollution. I think we've come to the recognition that trade used to get blamed for contributing to climate because of all the production, the way you produce the goods, the way you transport the goods. Yes, that's true, but now we have to talk about how do you produce these goods sustainably, and even transportation now. You've got all these, the shipping companies are also trying to go green in the way they transportation. So, and the other side of it, there are 3 areas in trade that can actually address climate, and we can link it to the issue of plastic pollution. The first is liberalizing environmental goods and services. And this will include technologies and services that are related to recycling of plastics and innovations and technologies that are related to waste management and so on. And it's both goods and services. So it's the goods, the technology that you need to import, and the people that need to come with these technologies. A lot of times there's a lot of restrictions on the people movement, to deliver the technical assistance or the technological knowledge that you can actually implement it. So that's one area. And if we link it to ASEAN, that could be an area for ASEAN also to address. The second area is that if you look at the data, tariffs on dirty goods or brown goods are actually lower than for clean goods. So this bias needs to be removed, so that you want to be able, you actually want to incentivize the import of clean goods rather than the brown goods. So countries need to adjust their tariff policies in that direction. The last area is actually to be competitive today, and I think the private sector here can share this issue, is that to be competitive today, you have to be part of a sustainable supply chain, which is very much linked to the circular economy, because you basically have to show across your whole value chain that you are sustainable at every point, right? Including the use of plastic or the use of packaging and everything that you do across the value chain. And being part of the sustainable supply chain is now part of competitiveness that developing countries have to meet. So I think another important area for us to have this discussion on how to address plastic pollution is through looking at across the whole value chain and see how you can actually reduce the amount of plastic pollution that happens at every stage of the value chain, starting from the production side to the packaging side, and then of course the end use side. And this is, I think, something which defines the National Plastic Action Plan of many countries. And at the end of the day, how do you measure it? How do you measure at each point that you are reducing the amount of plastic pollution, not just at the end point where the marine debris and plastic pollution enters into the marine debris. You have to address the whole value chain, and I think that's really something which is what Indonesia in its national plastic action plan has been doing. And the final thing I would say is that fiscal incentives. You asked about economic instruments, the importance of economic instruments to incentivize and I guess the role of government policy. So it's basically a carrot and stick approach, right? The stick is, okay, at some point, hopefully we will be enforcing the I'm forgetting it again, the end use of the producer responsibility. Did I get that right? Extended producer responsibility, thank you. If we can enforce that, that's the stick, right? And be very, you actually have to enforce it. And then the incentive. What is the incentive for starting to use recycled mix in your plastic, et cetera, et cetera? Right now, the cost is lower to use the virgin materials to make your plastic rather than using the recycled. So there has to be incentive. I think at the end of the day, how to motivate, how to incentivize the change in behavior by consumers as well as by producers and the companies is going to be the key. And that's a combination of, I would say, carrot and stick. And we have to be designing that in the right way.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmadi Alka Pangestu, for the great insights. Let's give her a big round of applause. And on highlighting the importance of a partnership that Dr. Ahmadi Alka Pangestu has emphasized. Mr. Ahmad, allow me to read out some of the partnerships that's already been celebrated, and that is the ASEAN Minister on Economic Cooperation in just 2 years ago in 2021 had adopted a framework for a circular economy, which is a very, very positive for the ASEAN economic community. And on the same year, ASEAN leaders had also adopted the statement on blue economy as well as the regional action plan in combating marine debris. And just last September this year, on the 43rd ASEAN Summit, the head of states of ASEAN had also adopted and once again emphasized the importance of the framework for blue economy. And all of these frameworks and partnerships are all interlinked and interconnected. So could you please share with us the driver behind all these initiatives and how are they connected to one another?
Thank you for the questions. Yes, I agree with you that we in ASEAN we come up with quite a number of frameworks and agreements, and then increasingly over the past few years, the issue of environment, has gaining a lot of traction within ASEAN, and then which give birth to all these frameworks, looking into how we can actually cooperate regionally on how to address these issues. But then I think I would also like to highlight the fact that over the past few years, these issues are mainly addressed within the ambit of the Minister of Environment. But then if you look at the past few years, especially when it comes to the introductions of this framework on circular economy, and then I think the title is Framework for Circular Economy for EEC, ASEAN Economic Community. So there's a shift of focus there. Before all this has been discussed by the Ministers of Environment, but then we also see the importance of having this discussion to be shifted to the Ministers of Economy, because we believe that private sector play a major role in ensuring that we would be able to gain impactful outcome for our stakeholders. That's why I think that's one of the main reasons why we come up with this framework on circular economy. And then Ibu Mari mentioned quite correctly the importance of ASEAN to remain competitive, right? And then for ASEAN to remain competitive, we need to facilitate our businesses to ensure that they will be able to leverage on environmental issues not seeing them as the cost, but then seeing them as an opportunities that they can leverage on, and then highlight that as an area of competitiveness for the region. And then for businesses to be able to do so, I think they need the support from the government. So I think that's one of the main idea behind having this framework on circular economy, to actually facilitate our businesses to see how they can actually leverage on this framework to benefit from the opportunities that can be obtained from environmental issues. And then if you look at the framework itself, I think the issues that we are trying to address is to see how we can facilitate trade, because I think trading in circular goods is not easy, not only in the region, but then across the whole world. It's very difficult for us to move waste, because it's being considered as waste, but then sometimes waste can also be have value in it. So how do we move waste from one region, from one country to another country? So we need to facilitate that. So that's why I think ASEAN is currently in the process of negotiating an upgrade of ATIGA, which is the ASEAN Trade in Goods Agreement. And then the main idea is to ensure that our trade in good agreement remain relevant. And then I think for it to remain relevant, it also need to include all these or address all these issues, including sustainability. And circular good is one of the issue that ASEAN Trade in Good Agreement have to sort of like incorporate in it. So to facilitate that trade in circular goods within the region. And another area is also to look into how we want to harmonize the standards. Not coming up with our own standards, but then to ensure that ASEAN member states can agree on some common definitions of circular goods, so that we can come up with a standard that would be aligned with the international standard, so that we can remain competitive. And then also another issue that we are looking into is ensuring that the businesses would be able to access to finances, to sustainable finance. Is also another area that are also being looking into in this framework, and then see how we can actually create this environment so that businesses can tap into finance in case they want to venture into this type of businesses. And then most importantly is capacity building. Because I think even though circular good is not new, but then I think a lot of capacity is still required, not only for the businesses, but also for the regulators, and then also for the public at large. So those are the issues that are we are encompassing on within the framework. But then the main idea is actually to ensure that ASEAN remain competitive, and also for ASEAN to look at a circular economy as something that will be beneficial for the region, not to look at it as simply as a cost that we have to bear.
Thank you very much, Bapak Ahmad, for emphasizing on also the importance of a competition as well. As we know, competition undoubtedly makes the race faster, but collaboration and partnerships makes us stronger to achieve better targets. And of course, the highlight is to incentivize, to support, as well as to harmonize. And Ms. Claudia, representing the food industry and a Coca-Cola company that also represents amongst the world's largest packaging industries. Private sectors had especially been blamed many times, really, because of maybe often blamed for lacking ambition on implementing and highlighting the importance of innovation and plastic circularity. So can you tell us more about what has been the hindrance behind the lack of maybe encouragement to promote and implement for better plastic circularity?
Thank you, Amelia. I'm happy to share with you today that there has actually been much progress for the private sector. The Coca-Cola Company is also one of the more than 150 endorsing organizations for the Business Coalition for Global Plastics Treaty. So, and the BCGPT, in short, is actually supporting the UN Global Plastics Treaty. So on the ambition front, I'm glad to share with everyone in this room that the private sector is progressing, and many of those companies involved are also from the FMCG sector. In terms of the major hindrance or barriers that you have asked, I would like to address it by looking at another way of how the Coca-Cola company approaches circularity. First, we have design, collect, and partner. The reason why we design the whole world without waste vision is because starting with circularity system, you need to start upstream when you're designing the product to make sure that it's actually recyclable. And our goal for that is to make sure 100% of our main packaging by 2025 will be recyclable. And I'm glad to announce that as of in our 2022 report, which was last year, we have already reached 90%. So we're on target to reach towards our goal for that. The second part, which many of the panelists today have touched on, is on the collection piece. And that one is a huge part to the whole circularity system, including what our panelists here have shared today. That is particularly important. And for our own ambition is to ensure we collect and recycle the equivalent of a bottle of can that we sell and introduce in the system by 2030. I say equivalent because we don't just collect our own bottles, we also collect other producers' bottles as well, or cans, and that's important. And the last part is the partnership, because in order to grow or scale any system, no one single organization or company can do it by ourselves. Again, that's a common theme that we hear today. The partnership, the collaboration is extremely important, which is why we're very thankful to the government of Indonesia, and also as chair of ASEAN, you have led the way and showed us how to do it. You have set a great momentum, and like what Ibu Marie said, there's so many different parts to the value chain and supply system. It's not just the producers, it's also the financiers as well, the trade system, and what Park you had shared regarding the import-export, and ensuring that and viewing waste not just as waste, distinguishing between waste that can have a circularity value and between waste that needs to be processed in a cleaner manner. I think those are the opportunities that are calling us to us. For every barrier that we see, if we turn on the flip side, it is a call for action. It is a call for opportunity for us. And last but not least, to emphasize what Ibu Marie has said, it is also a call in a way like for ASEAN and enterprises, consumers alike, to move towards a more, not just a sustainable future, but there are opportunities for companies like us and companies in Indonesia and ASEAN member states to be more competitive by embracing the sustainable production. It is a future way of life that has already started. The sooner we embrace it, the sooner everyone plays a part, the closer we will be to a more sustainable and a better future.
Thank you very much, Ms. Claudia. Let us give her a big round of applause. What a great message, ladies and gentlemen, on emphasizing the importance of plastic circularity. And Mr. Rothsith, representing Cambodia, undoubtedly a very much growing and exciting developing economy. Cambodia also faces the issues of plastic pollution. And could you please tell with us, with regards to the state of what Cambodia is like now in facing the plastic crisis issue, and what is the biggest challenge and right now to address in Cambodia?
Thank you for your questions. That Cambodia, we know that we have grown our economy as well as population growth, whereas a lot of problem in waste management, in particular also a plastic increase, particularly during this COVID-19 pandemics. So to address this one, the government of Cambodia, we also developed this national circular economy strategy, which aim to help the country to transition from a linear economy to the circular economies. And our strategy is we need to build on our waste management hierarchies. The principle where we would like to place the waste minimization is our priorities. And also by these other waste management measures such as the reduce and recycles, and also from waste to energy or resources. So to implement this one, we try to promote the 4R, mean that reduce, reduce and recycles for the effectiveness of waste management that focus on the 4 main areas. One is for creating this enabling regulation. For example, this drafting this regulation on the plastic management, mainly focus on the single-use plastics. And also we aim to conduct the awareness raising for the behavior change, where we try to promote the eco-friendly schools. And by in this September, Cambodians launched that no plastic used by school student, and we aim that about 3 million students will join this campaign, and we hope that the plastic bag will dramatically reduce within the next few years. And the third is the circular business development, where we would like to promote SME to this recycle of waste management. And the fourth is the capacity development at the national and the subnational levels. To implement this one, of course, we have a number of challenges. Firstly, the financial, technology, and capacity building. That we know that the zero draft of this plastic treaty to end the plastic pollution will the content of this, the whole life cycle of plastics. Where Cambodian facing that challenges is the advising and implementing these national action plans and are fully correspondent to the new requirements. In addition, support to this conducive for Cambodian and Asian countries to successfully implement the requirement measure to meet the national and global goal to tackle plastic pollutions. Our second challenge is that the business development and addressing the economy for the scales of transformation impacts. That we focus that one, the provision to alternative or single plastic is the key for the successful regulation on the single-use plastic. However, most alternatives are not price competitive because seen in terms of the input costs are so high. That is why this recycled plastic products are not easily to enter the market. And recycling is another key enabling element for promoting our circular economy. Yet Cambodian recycling business are mostly small and medium sized enterprise and not being able to treat the effective ever-grown volume of plastic waste. And such other countries that use EPR as an instrument to ensure the effective waste management, given the most plastic impact are imported in Cambodian. Further work is needed to define how to best engage the private sector under the EPR scheme. And the third challenge is the transboundary nature of plastic pollutions, where we foresee that the plastic pollution goes beyond the national border, such as pollution moves around the Mekong rivers and also share our ocean. Cambodian action alone cannot solve this problem. Yeah. This is our main challenges for Cambodia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosit. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to direct this next question to Ms. Claudia Chan. And as Mr. Rosit had also emphasized on that, it is truly such a common problem that we all share, and that is the difficulty of waste management that every single country in ASEAN shares. And be it those that are as big as Indonesia, or even those in the countries such as Singapore or Cambodia that is also currently developing and also tackling on the difficulties of waste management. So there's indeed so much to do and so little time. Do you sense this urgency that industry should really work together with ASEAN? And how do you think the partnership with ASEAN can further boost on the speed, really, of plastic circularity's movements going forward?
Yeah, I think there's a few ways that we can approach it, and also from what we have observed. I think let's look at the broader picture first. It's really great to see the vibrancy and dynamism in this room and also across in ASEAN. And we have also friends outside of ASEAN. From the list of sponsors, you can see the speakers from WEF, for instance, they are willing to work with ASEAN to move ahead. So at the global level, regional level, national level, there is progress moving forward, and that is especially important. I think the other theme that we're hearing today is about capacity building. And that's where the private sector and also our partners can also come in to share the knowledge and to exchange. And it's not about following one particular way or this or that. I think it's about each member state and the local ecosystem also charting and shaping what is the right path for them at this particular point in time or to the future path, and being able to make recalibration and customize the path. It is a learning and it is also a growing journey. And that's where I think industry can come in to play a part, to bring in our network, to share our views and work together hand in hand with the government, with NGOs, and also with consumers on the education and outreach. So the knowledge sharing is one piece. The other piece that we've noticed that is particularly important is the establishment of packaging recovery organizations, PRO in short, because these organizations made up of, let's say, NGO participants or the private sector will work together closely with the government in an EPR framework or in the framework that the government chooses. And they will drive the momentum forward in driving collection, recycling, as well as pull in the right various different players. So for the Coca-Cola Company, for instance, beyond ourselves, we also put in resources, for instance, in the Ocean Cleanup, which is an organization that helps put in contraptions in the oceans or rivers to collect the plastic waste. At the same time, we also park resources with funds that are investing in sustainable businesses that's helping to build and drive the whole sustainability infrastructure and the converters and the recycling companies. So it is very important that all these different aspects work hand in hand. And I think now in ASEAN, we're in a much better place as compared to the past. So instead of what we are hearing in the media saying ASEAN is taking the blame, I think now ASEAN has stepped up to take responsibility and show the path forward, which is why this year, especially with Indonesia's leadership, we are especially blessed to see this continuing momentum, and also with Mr. Seed sharing the progress in Cambodia, even for SME, small, medium enterprises. Everyone has a role to play, and that's how we can grow together to move forward and coming together as a system.
Thank you so much, Ms. Claudia Chand and Dr. Mari Alkapangestu. From the statements from all of our speakers, we have emphasized on that the spirit really from the national government, ASEAN, and industries continue to be aligned. However, we keep coming across bottlenecks or these hindrance really that every time we take 2 steps forward, at times we have to be pushed 3 steps back. What do you think is causing this, and how do you think ASEAN can tackle this issue?
I think there's a couple of bottlenecks. One is market itself. You know, the price, as I mentioned it earlier, the price of virgin polymers that are used for plastic is still cheaper compared to the secondary or recycled materials. So the price or the goods made from recycled materials are not yet competitive in the market. And I know that ASEAN has targets to do this, and even in the international treaty that's being negotiated in the UN, there's also targets for that. So I think this is something we need to think through. How do you incentivize this? And then there's the feedstock issue. If you want to make sure that you can have the amount of plastic to be recycled and so on, you need enough feedstock. So the secondary material for of plastic in a post-consumption is still lacking the proper waste management. It is about waste management, and it goes all the way from the collection point to how it's disposed, and some are collected, some are not collected. This is a big issue in ASEAN, and it's not just the infrastructure of the waste management, but the consumer behavior as well. And that's, I think, something we need to work on. And then there's the cost. financing and cost. How do we be able to finance the ability of the private sector? And the big private sector maybe can afford to do it, but the medium and smaller ones will not be able to do it. To be able to design the goods, do the innovations for the packaging, for the recycling, this all requires technology and investment. So is it capacity building? Is it partnership with the larger companies? How does government and private sector help in that regard? And just make a plug for what I'm sort of trying to be developing here in Indonesia, which is blended finance. How do you combine concessionary resources or even government budget funding with private sector, with financing, when you have good innovations that are not yet scalable or not yet commercial, how do you help to finance that? And it's all about the design of the policies itself, as well as the design of the innovation and the ability to measure. Metrics is very important. The ability to measure whether that innovation is going to have the impact that you desire has to be measurable. We call it results-based financing. That's a simple way to put it. So I think ASEAN can certainly work together on those issues, on how to finance the innovation, and then the innovation itself. How can you get these innovations to be scaled up to market? I think that's, so how do you do pilots? How do you do demonstration effects that actually can be scaled up? No, I think this is going to be, it's a combination of private sector as well as government. Just to give you an example, in the case of Indonesia, we did pilots for regions. So you start with not even a region, you start with a small area. It was Muncar in Banyuwangi, and then with a combination of, I think there was World Bank, there was government money, local government money, to design how you would actually go from end to end, from the upstream to all the way to the end point of the plastic. How do you manage that system? And it worked, and then it was replicated in other counties, other districts, and finally in Banyuwangi itself, it was for the whole district, for the whole kabupaten. And Bali is also doing similar things. So that's at the government level. But if you try to imagine at the company level, just then before this session, we were hearing the example of Chandra Asri. We're trying to use, that's the other challenge, single-use plastic. It's not a closed loop. Did I get that language right? Getting rid of the single-use plastic. And Chandra Asri came up with this innovation where you can mix it with asphalt, I think, to make the roads. And this technology came from India, I was told. So that's another area. Capacity building and sharing of technology across ASEAN would be also another area. There's a bottleneck, but there's also opportunity, I think, to work together. And finally, of course, policy. The type of policies, carrot and stick, and the types of legislation that's needed, because private sector needs to have a kind of certainty and targets that they will need to be meeting, and then how do you enforce that? I think that's kind of some of the big challenges and bottlenecks. And I would like to endorse the point made earlier about standards, because it's one thing to manage the cross-border issues, which is trade, tariffs, and even non-tariff barriers that have, once you have different standards for recycled products, that you could say that that's a non-tariff barrier, because it doesn't allow you then to have free trade in recycled products across ASEAN. So I think agreeing on the standards for recycled materials, agreeing what is the standard for something which is biodegradable or so on, needs to be agreed on at the ASEAN level. And we can start with ASEAN. And as you said correctly, it's not ASEAN standard, it's not Indonesian standard. We do have to link it to the international standard, because at the end of the day, we want to also be linked to the global economy. So I think those are some of the challenges, but I would just like to endorse what you were saying earlier. It's opportunity, actually. And not just a bottleneck, but these bottlenecks actually become opportunities for continued trade and sustainable development in ASEAN. And it is actually an area where ASEAN collaboration can really work to our favor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maria Kapangestu. And Mr. Ahmad, as we know, Indonesia prides in its unity and diversity, and so does ASEAN with our vast landscapes of incredible beauty, really. Every country has its own distinctive cultures and characteristics. And soon, taking into account that Timor-Leste will soon obtain its full membership, more diversity for ASEAN, the more the merrier. And how can ASEAN address the challenging gaps of this great diversity that we're talking about, especially with regards to combating plastic pollution through plastic circularity?
Thank you. Before that, I just would like to also inform that when we developed the framework, we also come up with an implementation plan. And so the implementation plan for circular economy, I'm referring to that document. And then we identified three main areas, which are energy, energy, transport, and agriculture. Those are the three sectors that we'll be focusing on for the first phase of the implementations of the circular economy. Why these three sectors? One, because they are the three sectors that are considered as contributing the most in terms of GHG emission, as well as those are also the three sectors where ASEAN has put quite a lot of efforts by introducing initiatives that can contribute towards sustainable development. And then with the implementation plan, we also come up with another document. I'm sorry, we have so many documents in ASEAN, which is called the work program. So basically, we had an implementation plan, but then we want to ensure that we'll be able to effectively implement whatever we put in this implementation plan. And then we realized that, like you correctly pointed out, member states are not at on equal stage, right, in terms of development, and then especially in terms of new issues such as circular economy. So that's why we come up with a work program to actually assist member states in supporting them in their journey towards transition to a circular economy. And at the beginning, the initial idea was to have this work program intended for our CLMV brothers and sisters. But then the other ASEAN 6 says, oh, why not us as well? So we also need support in terms of circular economy. It's still new areas for us as well. So that's why we, from us CLMV countries, we expanded it to cover all ASEAN 6, because I think in ASEAN it's not only about narrowing development gap among member states, but then also narrowing development gap within ASEAN member states. I think in Indonesia, I think there's still a lot of gap in terms of development across the provinces, as well as in other countries such as Malaysia or Thailand. So, and then what do we have in this work program? Things like Ibu already mentioned on capacity building, how we can develop capacity building to support member states, especially in these three areas that I mentioned earlier, energy, transport, and agriculture. Also on raising awareness and education, because I think there's still a lot of room for improvement in that particular area to raise awareness on the importance of circular economy and transition to a circular economy. And then partnership and collaborations. I think we mentioned this quite a lot. Partnership with the private sectors, partnership among the member states, partnership among the regulators, right, on how we want to step up our efforts in implementing circular economy. And there's also an area on regulations and framework. So how we can improve our regulations and framework within the region. And then another major important areas is on data sharing and sharing of best practices. So I think in the earlier panel session, we also mentioned about the importance or the issue with regard to data accessibility and data availability in the area of circular economy. So we have this, and then how do we actually transform this into concrete action? So we are working to establishing what we call a Center of Excellence for Green Transformation, green transition, to actually put into action what I mentioned earlier on the 5 areas. And then we are working closely with the EU. So the EU is willing to support us on the establishments of this Center of Excellence. But I think before we even establish this, I think what we're going to do first is actually to have a scan through of what are the Center of Excellence that are already in existence within the region or globally, so that we are not going to duplicate efforts, and to ensure that we are just coming there to fill in the gaps on what are the areas that still need to be worked on. So basically, the main idea is to assist our MSMEs in terms of their business transformation, in terms of sustainability reporting, accreditation. So those are the areas that we are thinking of focusing on within these centers of excellence. And then so that we're going to have like a coordinated and more structured capacity building support for our member state as well as for our businesses. So hopefully we will be able to establish this soon, and then we'll be able to support our businesses, our member states, and then ultimately to ensure that we will be able to effectively implement our circular economy framework.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad and Mr. Rosinth. Emphasizing, of course, on the, just now, Bapak Ahmad had emphasized on and highlighted on narrowing the gap, not just regionally, but also within one country, really, considering that Indonesia is a very big country. And Mr. Rosinth, considering that Cambodia is a very exciting and developing country as well, and seeing the big brothers and sisters of ASEAN, such as Singapore or maybe Indonesia and Malaysia, what do you think is the best or the most needed partnerships with these countries and Cambodia in an effort to combat plastic crisis?
Oh, well, as I mentioned earlier about this changes Cambodian face, that by we need the collaboration among the Asian member states. We are looking for this sharing of best practices, solution and technologies, along with financial support and technology to Cambodia. That is why the sharing of knowledge among Asian countries is, along with the financial support, is essential for successful devising and implementing of a national action plans. That's among others, we need to focus on the area could include the effective of regulations, also the private sector engagement and EPO implementations, and also we're looking at a circular business solution and appropriate technology for the environmentally sound management of waste, including the plastic, as well as we need to conduct the awareness raising for this changing behavior, not only in Cambodia, but also within the Asian communities. The second, also Cambodia looking for this regional level solution to achieve our economy scales, where we know that the most potential solution such as alternative and also recycling currently fail to address the economy of scales. That is why the regional level network for the business solutions can be considered to achieve the economic scales. For instance, that we would like to make the alternative or recycled product price competitive as well as ready, on the markets. For further implementation of EPR, Cambodians think that some countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines has introduced an EPR scheme, but use a different approach to engage the private sector for the end of life of product treatment. That is why Cambodia needs such of sharing insights into what works or what does not work of this EPR scheme that would be very helpful for Cambodian to design and implement the future scheme, effectively mobilizing and private sector engagement for the waste management. And the third that Cambodia needs collaboration is the regional cooperation for monitor the transboundary of plastic pollution to joint actions. As we know that Cambodia share a Mekong River and also the catchment area, that is why regional cooperation to identify and monitor plastic pollution hotspots in our shared Mekong River and ocean is crucial to enhance our joint the action to tackle plastic pollution. So this is the main area that Cambodian would like to see a support from the Asian member state. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodsin. And I guess due to the limited time that we have, I'm going to direct this last question to Dr. Mari Alka Pangestu. Yes, and this question is very special because it came directly from the floor, Ibu Mari, and allow me to read out the question for you. So as part of Indonesia's leadership to G20 in 2022, Indonesia initiated the establishment of the Global Blended Finance to filling the financial gaps of developing countries in achieving the SDGs target. So we're all aware that Indonesia shares a similar condition with most ASEAN member states in the context of plastic pollution and marine litter issues. So can you please share with us the areas that Indonesia needs the most to be financed to address the plastic pollution? And this is a great question for you being Indonesia's prominent economist, and how those areas can also be feasible to be financed under the blended financing scheme.
That's a good question. I think if you look at the priority areas that need to be basically blended finance is intended to finance the gap of financing that will not come from the private sector because the return is not clear, or it's risky, or it's long term. It's a question of how do you combine concessionary financing, which can come from multilateral development banks and can also come from the government, and you combine it with private sector funding, which tends to want to have a rate of return. And you can also combine it with philanthropy. But that's the combination of funding that's needed. But the combination of what is meant by blended finance. But where does it go, right? You need to have the design of the project that is going to allow the kind of development impact, in this case, reducing plastic pollution, as well as the kind of return, and the return doesn't have to be financial return. It can be in, that's why metrics is very important. It can be in the pollution avoided, right? If you can measure that, you can get carbon credit for it, which private sector would want to put money in, right? So I think the question is in the design of the project. So when you talk about the design of the project, I think I can think of two examples. One is at the district level. If a district can actually design end to end, what they intend to do from upstream to midstream to the end of the plastic use, if they can actually design that, and that would be infrastructure, partly would be infrastructure, partly would be how to involve the private sector, how to innovate the private incentive for the private sector. If they could actually design that, then that's something blended finance could come in. The second area would be, I think, if a private sector came up with an innovation, whether it's for recycling or for what to do with the single-use plastic, if they could actually come up with innovations that needs to be funded at the startup stage, testing stage, and then once that's tested to replicate and scale up, then the second phase of financing would come in. These are areas I think that can be very, very promising for blended finance, but it does need, the challenge is actually designing the project and making, I'm not going to use the word bankable projects, because that's a very financial term. I'm going to use the word transformative projects. Yeah, the challenge is in the feasibility study and the design of these projects and structuring it so that the blended finance can come in. And that's the homework for not just for me, but for all of us here to, I hope, come up with the right kind of structures that can help us accelerate this plastic pollution challenge, and blended finance can be an instrument for it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mari Alka Pangestu. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give our speakers a big round of applause. Indeed, from the serene coastals of ASEAN to the hustling and exciting bustling of the incredible cities of ASEAN, we need to also remember, ladies and gentlemen, that our choices resonate far and wide. What we decide to do today will have an impact not just for tomorrow, but for the future of our children. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank our dearest speakers for sharing their great insights with all of us today and creating today's conversation, not just a conversation that highlights the problems and the challenges that we face, but also on targeting, on finding the right solutions. And as Dr. Mari Elka Pangestu has emphasized on creating and transforming trash into treasure, plastic into cement, something that we can use. And of course, on also emphasizing the importance to incentivize, just as our speakers have emphasized, and to harmonize our relationship with one another. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, and as there's a quote that says that a dream that we dream alone is merely a dream, but a dream that we dream together becomes a plan, becomes an MOU, and becomes a partnership that we see today. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're aiming for, and our speakers are undoubtedly in the forefront of that movement. Let us once again give a big round of applause for them. And next, I'd like to direct the attention back to our wonderful MC, Ms. Puri.
Thank you so much, Ms. Amelia Yahya. Now we kindly ask all distinguished speakers and moderator to stay on stage and rise for a group photo, if that's okay. Let's do a quick group photo. The first one is the formal pose. And from our panelists, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely learned that result-based financing is a model that can support innovation and later on scale up. A combination of private sector and government will play an excellent role to accelerate this movement. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the photographer. 3, 2, 1, captured. All right, shall we do the second pose, the ASEAN way? Your right hand over your left hand, symbolizing a partnership. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Captured. And to present a token of appreciation for our panelists, we would like to invite to the stage Bapak Nofrizal Tahar. Bapak Nofrizal Tahar is Director for Waste Handling, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, who also is the focal point for ASEAN Working Group on Environmentally Sustainable Cities. Ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN needs to embrace and adopt circular economy approach that minimize the use of single-use plastic. We're here to clean our ocean, to have a better planet for our children. Action must be local and also global. This token of appreciation is handmade pouch and clock created by women handicraft entrepreneur from Nusa Tenggara under Du Anyam, an MSME with mission to empower women and communities in rural areas in Indonesia. Another group photo, 3, 2, 1. Captured. Thank you so much, distinguished speakers. Our moderator, Ma Amelia, you may return to your seats and enjoy the rest of our conference. Again, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to our breakout session, we will now have a quick lunch break. Your lunch will be provided in foyer area in the second and first floor. Breakout session will start in an hour. You may enter the breakout sessions that you have signed up for this morning during registration. So breakout session 1 and 4 will be in this main ballroom, and breakout session 2 will be in Jawa Sumatra room, and breakout session 3 and 5 will be in Kalimantan and Maluku room. And by the time the breakout sessions are over, we expect your presence back here in this ballroom around 4:40 p.m. to wrap up the event. Have a pleasant lunch and enjoyable discussions.